Chapter 130. Boom, 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 boom. Although it was only a single kick, it gave people a feeling that it was continuous and fierce. The kick was launched towards Lu Hanshan, but Lu Hanshan remained perfectly still. He reached out both of his hands and merged a large amount of yuan qi into the purple mist, forming a huge millstone that blocked the volcanic kick. In the next moment, dazzling purple light and red light burst out, so dazzling that people couldn't even look at them directly, followed by a thunderous boom that even shook the surrounding space. He blocked it. Lu Hanshan blocked it. Judging from the situation, just now, Lu Hanshan has reached the 9th level of the purple extreme art. No wonder he is confident enough to fight against Ouyang. Even the former young master Hanshan has started to show his power. He will never allow anyone to take away his title. Indeed, Lu Hanshan is a powerful man after all. Even if he is temporarily left behind, he can still last longer than ordinary people. Although most of the people were slightly surprised, they were not too surprised. After all, young Master Hanshan was a famous man. Not to mention that Ouyang wanted to force Lu Hanshan back with only a single kick. But they still didn't know how much of Ouyang power had actually been released. Lu Wuxian, who had fought against Lu Hanshan 3 times before, smiled and thought to himself, "I only used 80% of my power back then, but now you are qualified to be on the same level as me." The head elder of the Purple Sun Martial School had a gloomy look on his face. He thought that Ouyang would be able to easily defeat Luo Hanshan, but he never thought that Ouyang would suddenly regain his former glory. Although Ouyang cultivation hadn't improved by much, his purple extreme art had actually broken through to the 9th level. Fortunately, it was not the peak of the 9th level, otherwise he would have been able to control the purple lotus and would have been undefeatable, unless there was a huge gap between their power levels. The Sky Cloud Martial School has started to rise. Another Purple Sun Martial School elder said worriedly. Snorting coldly, the head elder of the Purple Sun Martial School said through his Zhen Qi, "Zhu Liang has already planned to kill that kid named Yi Chen, but he was lucky and escaped this time. But next time, he won't be so lucky. Let him kill Luo Hanshan as well. That'll be the end of the Sky Cloud Martial School. We'll make sure that the Sky Cloud Martial School will never be able to rise again for the rest of their lives." Indeed, once the Sky Cloud Martial School rises again, they will definitely come after us. Therefore, we have to kill them all. The voices of the two converged into a single line and did not spread out. However, Yi Chen could sense that chilling, killing intent. These 2 old men must be up to no good. I wonder if they are targeting me. Yi Chen's eyes landed on the battlefield as he started calculating. He was quite confident in his senses. As long as someone showed a slight hint of killing intent towards him, he would be able to sense it. However, as a late clasping Yuan realm warrior, he was still quite powerful. That layer of killing intent only flashed for a second before it disappeared. Smiling bitterly, Yi Chen shook his head, silently. He was still. He was at the bottom of the Wind Martial Nation. He could only protect himself after he reached the clasping realm. If they wanted to kill him, he would. He had was a... Thinking of this, Yi Chen couldn't help but feel a bit absent-minded. Clasping Yuan realm martial artists might be able to walk around in the Windy Nation, but compared to the entire South Ruder region, or even the entire True Spirit continent, they were nothing. Above the clasping Yuan realm was the astral reaching realm, where martial artists could easily destroy a small martial institution. Above the astral reaching realm was the Sea of Souls realm, where martial artists could be considered as a powerful being. They had the power to destroy the terrain, and their Zhen Qi was like an endless ocean. Above the astral reaching realm was the Life and Death realm martial artists. Life and Death realm martial artists could be crowned as kings, such as Su King, Evil King, Xianhou, Dragon King, and so on. They were the true kings of the True Spirit continent, and they could easily move mountains and oceans. The scariest thing was that Life and Death realm martial artists had already reached the limit of the human body. They could reverse life and death, and as long as there were no accidents, they could live up to 1,000 years old. Apart from this, it was said that life and death realm martial artists were extremely hard to kill, as they already had the ability to grow flesh and even regenerate from a single drop of blood. However, even life and death stage warriors needed to understand the great Tao of nature. They all wanted to reach a higher level, to reach the legendary level. However, this level was still too far away for Yi Qin. It was not something he could reach at all. If he forced himself to think about it, it would be like biting off more than he could chew. Getting rid of all the distracting thoughts, Yi Qin found that his state of mind seemed to have improved a little bit, and the stable Jin Qi inside his body seemed to have become more active. Could it be that only by being ambitious can I have a better future? Yi Qin thought to himself. On the stage, Ouyangming didn't continue to attack. Instead, the disdainful look on his face had turned into one of caution. The kick he launched just now contained almost 90% of his power, but his opponent was able to take it without even taking a step back. Not bad. You actually took a kick from me, Ouyangming said while secretly accumulating his power. Lu Hanshan stared at Ouyangming coldly and said, Now it's my turn. Great Monument, Heavenly King Fist. Without wasting any time, Lu Hanshan took a step forward. His entire body was covered in purple mist, which was shining brightly. He threw a punch towards Ouyangming along with an earth-shattering power. Pop, 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 pop. The air was penetrated layer by layer. A gigantic fist, holding a purple monument, fiercely pressed towards Ouyangming. All of a sudden, the airflow around the fist began to stop, solidify, and then collapse. It's the great monument, Heavenly King Fist. Our leader has taught this martial skill to Hanshan as well. The fourth elder showed a joyful look on his face. Normally, core disciples would only be taught one low-rank Earth realm martial skill. Apart from the strict control on the circulation of secret martial skills, the most important reason was to prevent core disciples from being distracted. After all, it was already very difficult to learn one martial skill, and it was not wise to learn two at the same time. In the end, a core disciple would only be mediocre and not outstanding in any aspect. Therefore, it was better to learn one martial skill first, and then learn the other martial skills after reaching the peak of the first one. The fact that Lu Hanshan was able to learn the second low-rank Earth realm martial skill meant that the leader had already known that Lu Hanshan had reached the 9th level of the Purple Extreme Art and was qualified to learn the second one. Of course, not everyone would be like this. The school would first test one's loyalty. For some disciples who had second thoughts, no matter how talented they were, the school would not teach them any secret martial skill. However, if they found a low-rank Earth realm martial skill outside, the school would not care about them. At most, they would just remind them that the quality of the martial skill was more important than the quantity. The head elder slightly nodded. With the great monument, Heavenly King Fist, Lu Hanshan basically had the power to fight against child-level opponents. Break! Ouyangming threw a flying kick. The volcanic shadow of his leg transformed into a gigantic blade and hacked on the fist and the monument. Clang! The fist paused for a second, and there seemed to be a crack on the monument. However, it was still moving towards Ouyangming. Ouyangming's face darkened. Finally, all of his Zhen Qi burst out, and a dazzling sun-like light shot up into the sky. Ouyangming spun around and flew into the air, then threw a heavy kick on the fist and the monument. Dragon beheading kick. Crack! The great monument, Heavenly King Fist, was broken, but it also forced Ouyangming to use all of his power. Blade and leg fusion. Seeing this, Yi Qin frowned. He had already known that Ouyangming's blade art was just as powerful as his leg art. However, for a warrior, it was not a good thing to be powerful in all of them. They had to choose one martial skill to focus on. For example, Yi Qin used to focus on fist art and sword art at the same time, and his fist art was still the most powerful one. But now he focused on sword art, and the fist art was just a supplement. Yichen didn't expect that Ouyang would take a different path and merge his leg art with his blade art. From now on, his blade art would be his leg art, and his leg art would be his blade art. His power was even greater than before. But no one knew whether it was because of his own initiative or because of the dragon beheading kick. After breaking the great monument Heavenly King fist with a single kick, Ouyang didn't show any mercy. His body flashed, and tens of fierce kicks were thrown out. Lu Hanshan didn't step back. He launched the great monument Heavenly King fist once again and clashed with Ouyang kick. Lu Hanshan lose. Ouyang stomped on the ground. His whole body shot up into the sky and threw another kick down. Roar! A loud and shrill dragon roar came out. Ouyang kick directly transformed into a terrifyingly huge blade. On the blade, a broken dragon's body was faintly visible, while the dragon's howl was coming out of its mouth. Hearing this howl, some young warriors who were not powerful enough immediately felt dizzy, as if all of their strength had been sucked out. Ouyang was very confident about the power of the dragon beheading kick. The blade art and leg art that he had been practicing before were actually one, but they were forcibly separated in order to speed up his cultivation. It was not like what Yichen had thought. With his current cultivation, there was no way he could create his own martial art. If he could, he would have become a great master long ago. Except for young Master Emerald, who had already stepped into the clasping Yuan realm, no one in the Windy Nation would be able to rival him. Not even one move. East Rising Purple Chi, Great Monument Suppression. The bridge-like purple chi behind Lu Hanshan's back grew brighter and brighter. It almost pierced through his body. After that, a 10-meter-tall purple monument appeared, suppressing the space. On the monument, countless dead warriors were crawling out of the ground, letting out unyielding roars, as if they were trying to return to the real world and regain the glory of the past. This scene was truly shocking. What kind of power is this? It's so scary. Even 10 of me would not be able to rival the 2 of them. I'm afraid that they could crush me into pieces with only a single move. So powerful. I can't even imagine it. I thought that I would be able to compete with them, but now it seems that I was just dreaming. All of those talented young martial artists from those powerful institutions were stunned. They couldn't imagine that a peak-level late condensing reality realm martial artist could release such a great power. Even some early clasping Yuan realm martial artists couldn't be this powerful. In other words, they could definitely compete with early clasping Yuan realm martial artists and might even be able to kill them. Not only them, even the disciples from those powerful institutions had a serious look on their faces. They stared at the stage without even blinking their eyes, as if they didn't want to miss even the slightest detail. Clang! The dragon-wrapped blade fiercely hacked on the purple monument, causing a sky-shaking boom. Half of the purple monument was cut off, and cracks spread out in all directions. Fortunately, Lu Hanshan managed to block the kick that could instantly kill a peak-level late condensing reality realm martial artist. If he couldn't, Lu Hanshan would surely lose. Lu Hanshan's straight back bent slightly, but his face remained perfectly expressionless. His sharp eyes were fixed on Ouyang through the silhouette of the monument. Chapter 131. Seeing Lu Hanshan's eyes, Ouyang was enraged. He yelled out, "Broken dragon move!" He threw a sideways kick. The sharp, blade-like leg power tore the air apart, creating a shrill howl as it landed on the purple monument. All of a sudden, the silhouette of the dragon reappeared, but it was broken into pieces. Crack! The purple monument was covered in cracks, and finally it exploded. However, right at this moment, a human silhouette darted out from the broken monument. A gigantic fist was holding the monument, trying to attack Ouyang who was still in the air. Great monument shakes the sky. Let's see how you can shake my dragon beheading kick. Ouyang threw 2 strikes at the monument in a row and stopped in the air with the help of the counterforce. Seeing Lu Hanshan coming at him, Yang grinned hideously and threw the dragon slaying movement, the most powerful move of his dragon beheading kick. The horrifying leg power seemed to be able to destroy souls. Boom! Lu Han was knocked down from the sky and was forced to take over 10 steps back. Yang didn't gain the upper hand either. His body was flipped over in the air and finally fell on the ground. Lose. Great monument suppression. Without any hesitation, the two of them once again started fighting against each other. Rainstorm-like attacks were launched one after another. Yang dragon beheading kick was extremely powerful. It was almost as powerful as a mid-rank Earth realm martial skill. Every single kick launched by Yang was able to shatter the opponent's mind. Lu Hanshan's great monument Heavenly King Fist was slightly weaker than the dragon beheading kick. However, the extreme purple art was extremely powerful. After reaching the 9th level of the East Rising Purple Chi, Lu Han was able to absorb the purple chi and increase the power of his martial skills. That was the reason why he was able to compete with Yang dragon beheading kick without falling into a disadvantageous situation. 300 moves. 500 moves. After 600 moves, Zhuang Qingxian knew that he couldn't let them go on like this. In order to decide the winner, they would need at least 2,000 moves. Besides, their cultivation was way too low. If they took 2,000 moves, they might die of exhaustion. Even clasping Yuan realm martial artists could barely take 2,000 moves. Releasing a stream of qi, Zhuang Qingxian stood up and said, "You two, please stop. Today is just a show. We don't have to decide the winner." The Sky Cloud Martial School's head elder nodded. He had already realized that Lu Han wouldn't be able to win against Yang. Of course, Yang wouldn't be able to win against Lu Han either. The first elder of the Purple Sun House had an ugly expression on his face. Lu Han didn't launch another attack. Instead, he let out a long breath and said blandly, "It seems that you won't be able to defeat me today." "You didn't defeat me either." Yang suppressed his boiling qi and blood. "Today's battle will be decided in the future. The title of young master is always waiting for you." After saying this, Luo Han returned to his seat. Zhuang Qingxian retracted his qi and said, "Who else wants to challenge me?" "Valley Master, let me do it." Lu Wuxiang, who had been quiet all this while, walked out. Zhuang Qingxian was slightly surprised. "Wuxiang, who do you want to challenge?" Lu Wuxiang's cold eyes fell on Lynch. "I've always heard that your blade is very fast, even faster than young Master North Snow. I wonder if it's true." Lynch stood up. "You will lose. It's still too early to talk about winning or losing, don't you think? My fast blade is based on speed. Either you defeat me quickly, or you're defeated by me quickly. There's no third possibility." Lynch's face was expressionless. His temperament was neither sad nor happy. He looked even colder than Lu Wuxiang, colder to the extreme. "I think I've heard about this before. I want to experience it even more." A strong fighting intent was released from Lu Wuxiang's body. It was not any weaker than Yang or Lu Hanshan's. It was even stronger. Step by step, he walked up to Lu Wuxiang. 30 steps in front of him, Lynch took out a great blade from his storage ring. A strange light flashed across Yi Chen's eyes. Lynch didn't use the low-rank great blade. It seemed that he wanted to defeat Lu Wuxiang with his own power in a fair fight. "Let's do this." A cyan-colored stream of air rose from Lu Wuxiang's body. This stream of air was extremely sharp. It looked like a saw, twisting and cutting the air that came in contact with it, causing a hissing sound. Clang! As soon as the blade was pulled out, Lynch's body had already disappeared. A white beam of light shot out and hacked on Lu Wuxiang's protective Zhenqi layer. Puff! That layer of cyan-colored airstream was cut in half, but Lu Wuxiang didn't even have the time to react. So fast! Lu Wuxiang's pupils shrank. He was greatly shocked. Although he had already known that Lynch was powerful, and that he might have already reached young Master North Snow's level. He didn't expect that Lynch's blade could be this fast. It even slowed him down a bit. Not daring to be careless, the cyan-colored airstream around Lu Wuxiang's body suddenly rose, forming a cyan-colored armor that was filled with a strong killing intent. The armor was incomparably thick, and there were huge sharp horns on the edge of the armor. At first glance, it looked like an ancient demon had come back to life. Clang, 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 but in the next second, Lynch's blade arrived once again. No one could see Chen's figure. Only the snow-white blade light could be seen, again and again, hacking on Lu Wuxiang's cyan-colored Jinqi armor, making a loud metal, clanging sound. 31st blade attack. Boom! A condensed blade light extended to tens of meters long and went through Lu Wuxiang's waist. Putting the blade back into the sheath, Lynch walked back to his seat. What's going on? The winner hasn't been decided yet? Could it be that Lynch knows that he can't beat Lu Wuxiang, so he doesn't want to fight? While everyone was still puzzled, the Zhenqi armor around Lu Wuxiang's body cracked and exploded, leaving only a pale-faced man standing in place. The crowd fell into a dead silence, followed by a stone that caused 1,000 ripples. Lu Wuxiang lost. With only 31 blade attacks, Lu Wuxiang lost. Lu Wuxiang is recognized as a child-level warrior, but Lynch defeated him. Doesn't that mean that Lynch has already reached the same level as young Master North Snow and young Master Duanmu, or even surpassed him? The North Snow Fast Blade is indeed worthy of its name. It's extremely fast without any fancy moves. Yu Yu's mouth curved into a smile. These people probably don't know yet. Back in the villa, young Master North Snow had already fought against Lynch, and both of them were evenly matched. However, in Yu Yu's eyes, Lynch had won because he was still improving and had never stopped. Lu Hanzhan said word by word, "The North Snow Fast Blade is indeed worthy of its reputation. Among all the martial arts in the world, there is nothing that cannot be broken by speed. Speed is not only about speed, but also about attacking power. When one's speed reaches a certain level, even a piece of paper or a leaf can penetrate an iron armor and kill someone without leaving a trace." Yi Qin knew better than anyone else that Lynch's initial attacking power was not ridiculously strong, but after his speed increased, he was able to easily cut through Lu Wuxiang's Jinqi armor, and every time he launched an attack, he would try to find the weak point of the armor, preparing for the final attack. Hearing him, Lu Hanzhan and Su Jing both looked at him. It was the first time for them to hear such a straightforward and easy-to-understand theory. The fourth elder and the head elder glanced at each other. They couldn't understand Yi Chen at all. How could he know so much at such a young age? And what he said was very reasonable and straight to the point. Nan Gongyin, the Rudra Martial School's rain warrior, shook his head and said, "Unbelievably fast. This guy is only below the 3 young masters. No, he might even be below young Master Emerald." Yuan Shuamei said in surprise, "Second brother, is he really that powerful?" He has already understood the profound meaning of speed. Every single movement of his is able to push his speed to the limit. If you want to compete with him, you will have to be faster than him or be far more powerful than him. But, of course, my eyesight is limited. Maybe there are other ways to deal with him. After this fight, Lynch had become even more famous. Although he didn't have the title of child, in everyone's mind he had already become the new child. After watching North Snow Fast Blade Lin Chi's battle, the rest of the matches became boring. Everyone was looking forward to seeing what kind of heavyweight matches would happen next. The fight was over. Shurpatian stood up. It was time. Everyone looked at Shurpatian curiously, wondering who he was going to challenge. "Yi Qin, you are quite powerful. There are not many young martial artists in the Windy Nation who can beat you. Do you want to accept my challenge?" "Of course. If you don't, I won't force you. It's just a bit of a pity." Shurpatian flattered Yi Qin right at the beginning. With this flattery, he would be able to fight against Yi Qin and destroy his half-step sword intent with peace of mind. Just as he expected, everyone thought that it was reasonable. The scene where Yi Chen beat Qing Junshi was still vivid in their minds. Perhaps it might be a bit difficult to compete with those experienced young martial artists, but he was still qualified to fight against Yi Chen. After all, this was not a life-and-death fight, it was just a show. Yi Chen didn't care about Sure Potion's cunning words. He nodded and said, "Sure." The corner of Sure Potion's mouth curved into a smile. "Finally, this moment has come. I wonder what kind of expression you will have when the fight is over." The two stood facing each other. The next moment, Sure Potion's body let out a bright, glass-like light, which was mixed with pure golden light. It looked like gold, but not like gold, and also like jade, but not like jade. His skin, hair, and even his eyes had been dyed with a different color, as if his body was no longer made of flesh and blood. The 9th level of Colored Glass Spell. Golden Glass Body. Colored Glass Spell is one of the most powerful low-rank Earth realm defensive martial arts in the Emerald Martial Palace. Once you reach the 9th level of Golden Glass Body, you will be invulnerable to weapons, water, and fire. Your defensive power will be many times stronger than any demonic beast at the same level. Basically, you will be invincible. With the protection of Golden Glass Body, Yi Chen has no chance at all. I just wonder how many moves he can take. Yi Chen took a glance at Sure Potion's body, then nodded and said, "I have also trained a defensive martial art. I wonder whose one is better." While speaking, Yi Chen's body suddenly shook, and a bright light burst out from his body as well. However, it was not a glass-like light, but a jade-like light. A layer of jade-like luster covered his entire body. His muscles became more and more angular, and his facial features looked like they were carved by a knife. He looked like a beautiful jade statue. The 5th level of the Pure Jade Body Boosting Spell. The level of Golden Steel Body Boosting Spell. Buzz. The crowd once again boiled up. Sure Potion's nickname Stone Man was because of his extremely high defensive power, which made him as stable as a rock. However, Yi Chen had also trained a defensive martial art. Judging from its appearance, it seemed to be no weaker than Sure Potion's Colored Glass Spell. The battle between the two great defensive martial arts, who would be more powerful. Chapter 132. Sure Potion raised his eyebrows and sneered in his mind. "You want to compete with my golden body with a random body-strengthening art? You're really reckless. If that's the case, then let me see what you can do." Sure Potion leaned his body forward. His speed suddenly reached its limit, leaving a series of golden afterimages behind him. In terms of speed, he was only slightly slower than Lynch. When he was less than 3 meters away from Yi Chen, Sure Potion bent his right arm and threw out a punch. This punch was simple and direct. It contained all of its power. However, the air-tearing sound was especially ear-piercing. Yi Chen didn't show any intention of backing off. He took a step forward with his right foot and threw out a punch as well. Boom! 2 bloodless fists collided with each other. The air was compressed and splattered in all directions. The ground cracked and collapsed, and a depression appeared. The next second, both of them were pushed back, unable to stop their bodies. Fierce. The fist power didn't leak out at all. It was completely focused on his opponent. In terms of physical strength, the two seemed to be equally matched. I wonder how much of Sure Potion's power is. To be honest, I really can't tell. Both of them released their power the moment they touched each other's bodies. It's hard to tell without experiencing it myself. On the stage, some people were discussing in low voices. Sure Potion stopped himself from backing off and raised his head. There was a hint of surprise in his eyes. He was known as the Stone Man not only because of his high defensive power, but also because of his great physical strength. Without using any Zhenqi, he had once killed a peak rank 3 beast with his bare hands, and he could even fight against a rank 4 beast with his bare hands. His opponent was 2 or 3 years younger than him. But not only was he quite good at sword arts, he had also comprehended the half-step sword intent. However, for Sher Patian, the more outstanding Yi Chen was, the more he wanted to destroy Yi Chen's confidence, so that he would never be able to stand straight again. Let's see how many punches you can take. Sher Patian accelerated and arrived in front of Yi Chen in 2 to 3 steps. His golden fist turned into a series of afterimages, each of which contained his full power. Yi Chen was not afraid of him at all. He started to fight against him. After hundreds of moves, Sher Patian grinned and said, "Take this." Not defending. Yi Chen furrowed his brows. His opponent had completely given up on defense, and his attack speed had increased exponentially. If he were to fight head-on, he would inevitably be hit by a few punches. If he didn't fight head-on, he would definitely be at a disadvantage. After all, no matter how sturdy his defense was, there would still be a day when a gap could be opened up. Hardening his heart, Yi Chen also gave up on the idea of defending and punched out with his jade-like fist. Bang! Bang! Both of them took a punch each, causing sparks and banging sounds to ring out. Sher Patian grinned hideously, as if that punch just now had no effect on him at all. Then he leapt forward and once again engaged in battle with Yi Chen. Bang, 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 bang. For a moment, even Yi Chen and Sher Patian didn't know how many punches they had received. They only knew that every part of their upper bodies had been taken care of, and even their heads had been punched a few times. Compared to them, there was no need to mention those young elites who were watching the fight. They could only see that the two of them were like madmen. They only knew how to attack. They didn't know how to defend at all. It seemed like whoever could punch the other one more time would be the winner. What a freak! Whoever fights against them will definitely be at a disadvantage. Their defense is so strong. They can't even break their opponent's defense, let alone us. We will only be able to scratch an itch for them. Sher Patian cultivates the colored glass spell. What kind of body-strengthening art does the Yi Chen cultivate? How come he is so powerful? He is not weaker than Sher Patian at all. After fighting for a long time, Sher Patian was getting impatient. His opponent's defense was beyond his imagination, and it seemed like the colored glass golden body alone wouldn't be able to gain any advantage. If that was the case, he would have to use other martial arts. Heavenly Star Explosion. Leaping into the air, Sher Patian's fist shone with a dazzling golden light as he punched down. Finally, using a martial skill, Yi Chen threw out the second movement of the Tyrant Fist art, the Soul Tyrant Fist art. The surrounding Yuan Qi was instantly sucked into the fist power. Explode! What surprised Yi Chen was that for the first time, the Tyrant Fist art had been suppressed by another martial skill. The invincible fist power exploded layer by layer, as if it was filled with gunpowder. Shoo! Flashing across the air, Yi Chen had already moved back tens of steps. Sher Patian chased after Yi Chen and threw out a punch. Since the Tyrant Fist art had failed, Yi Chen had no choice but to use the hidden cloud sword. He threw out a sword attack and activated his half-step sword intent. Crackle! The fist power and the sword chi were equally matched. Neither of them could gain the upper hand. The Heavenly Star Exploding Fist art is a low-rank Earth realm martial skill, but it can suppress most martial skills. The fist power contained in it is extremely powerful, and once it touches the sword, it will explode from inside out. Lu Hanshan had been famous for a long time. He had recognized Sher Patian's martial skill with only a single glance. The main reason why this sword chi of Yi Chen could be equally matched with Sher Patian's sword intent was because of the sword intent. The sword intent itself contained a sharp power, and once it merged with this sharp power, the sword chi of a sword artist would become even more powerful and hard to break. Let's see how you are going to block this. At this moment, Sher Patian finally threw out his most powerful martial skill. He clenched both of his fists in the air and threw them out like two dragons flying out of the sea, as if they were going to shake the entire world. Rumble. The golden light covered almost half of the square, and the fierce fist power was completely hidden. Only the deafening sound of explosion could be heard, while the power was moving towards Yi Chen. This was the first time that Yi Chen had encountered such a tough opponent, and it was not strange at all. Shi Patian was one of the top 4 core disciples of the Emerald Martial Palace, and he was no weaker than Lu Wuxiang. Among the young generation on the scene, except for young Master Emerald who had already stepped into the clasping Yuan realm, only the North Snow Fastblade, Lynch, could defeat him. Yi Chen had just stepped into the late condensing reality realm. Although his Zhen Qi was not weak, it was not as pure as the Zhen Qi of the peak-level late condensing reality realm martial artists. Yi Chen's only advantage was his half-step sword intent. Sword intent. It seems that I have no choice but to use that sword move. After thinking for a moment, Yi Chen made up his mind and stopped hesitating. Taking a step forward with his left foot, Yi Chen held the sword in his right hand and raised it high. He focused all of his attention on the hidden cloud sword and swung it down. Swoosh! No one could describe how fast this sword move was, because before Yi Chen made any move, a thick stream of sword qi had already darted out. This stream of sword qi was as fast as lightning. It turned into a beam of white light and instantly disappeared into the golden light. Silently, the golden light was split into 2, and all of the fist power was destroyed. Like snow in the spring meeting the scorching sun, it melted away. Crack! A crack appeared on Shi Potion's ribs, and blood gushed out from it. Shi Patian didn't even have any reaction. What kind of sword art is this? How could it be so fast? After the sword move, the crowd fell into a dead silence. Finally, someone couldn't help but yell out. All the head elders from the top martial institutions looked confused. None of them knew what the sword move was. Only Yuan Xiaomei seemed to be thinking about something. Then her facial expression changed drastically, as if she had seen something unbelievable. She opened her mouth wide and couldn't close it anymore. Zhuang Qingxian's face darkened. He said, word by word, "The single sword move!" "Headmaster, what is the single sword move?" Lu Wuxiang hurriedly asked. According to the legend, in the ancient times, there was a sword artist who created a sword art for revenge. This sword art only had one move, and that was the single sword move. To perform the single sword move, the cultivator must combine his spirit, qi, hands, eyes, and body into one. This is only the first step. The second step is even more difficult. It requires the cultivator to use the sword as a guide, and release all of his power in the form of a sword to kill enemies who are more powerful than him. However, after performing the single sword move, the cultivator will also feel weak for a period of time. Normally, ordinary sword artists wouldn't be able to perform the single sword move. Only those who have a pure heart or those who have comprehended the sword intent can do it. However, this Yi Chen has already touched the edge of the sword intent, so it's not strange for him to be able to perform it. While explaining, Zhuang Qingxian really wanted to know where Yi Chen had obtained the single sword move. One should know that it wasn't that easy to successfully perform the single sword move. If he didn't do it well, he might even suffer from qi deviation and lose his cultivation. However, Yuan Xiaomei knew it better than anyone else, because the sword manual she had given to Yi Chen contained the introduction of the single sword move. However, it was clearly just an introduction, not a secret manual. How did Yi Chen manage to successfully perform the single sword move? Could it be that he was able to perform the single sword move with just his imagination? How is this possible? Shi Patian stared at Yi Chen. His heavenly astral explosive fist move was not only powerful. If Yi Chen didn't have any other tricks up his sleeves, he would only need 10 moves to defeat Yi Chen. However, he had never thought that Yi Chen would give him such an unexpected attack, and with only one move, he had lost all of his power. Yi Chen's face turned slightly pale, but it wasn't as serious as Zhuang Qingxian had described. He had indeed learned the single sword move from the sword manual, and the theory behind it was actually quite similar to the sword intent. However, the sword intent could be activated for a long period of time, while the single sword move couldn't. The most important function of the single sword move was to increase a sword artist's power drastically, allowing him to kill his enemies with only one move. Puff! Shurpatian spat out a mouthful of blood. He couldn't even stand straight anymore. His golden body had been broken, and it had taken a huge toll on him. Without 3 months of rest, he wouldn't be able to recover to his peak state. Right now, he was even weaker than an early condensing reality realm warrior. Needless to say, an inner elder of the Emerald Martial Palace walked up and held Shurpatian up. On the Purple Sun Martial Palace's side, "This kid is so scary. What other tricks does he have up his sleeves? Can Zhu Liang handle him? Will he be able to escape this time? If so, it will be even harder to kill him in the future." The elder of the Purple Sun Martial Palace, who was sitting next to Zhangqing, said to the head elder through Zhenqi. The head elder of the Purple Sun Martial Palace snorted. "Don't underestimate Zhu Liang. He has killed quite a lot of geniuses. Some of them were even as powerful as Yi Qin. Not to mention, we just need to remind him to be prepared for this sword move. After this sword move, he won't be able to fight back anymore." Yeah, how come I didn't know that this sword move was so powerful? It must have some side effects. Sitting straight on the chair, Yi Chen's face turned even paler, but he was sneering in his mind. He had a powerful soul power, and although it seemed that performing the single sword move would consume a lot of his soul power, it was actually not a big deal. If he put his life on the line, he could perform it 3 or 4 more times without a problem. He just pretended to be a show to the others. He didn't want it to be too shocking. Chapter 133. Ever since the fight between Yi Qin and Shurpatian had ended, almost all of the disciples from the top martial institutions had fought against each other, and none of them seemed to want to fight again. "Brother Yi, are you all right?" Seeing Yi Chen's pale face, Luo Hanshan thought that Yi Chen was suffering from some serious side effects after using the heart refining. Yi Chen shook his head. "Just a small thing, Brother Luo, don't worry." Luo Hanshan said, "You'd better not use this move in the future. It's too dangerous. Either you or the enemy will die." "Thank you, Brother Luo." This Luo Hanshan was a nice guy. He was neither arrogant nor rash, never discouraged, and always treated people with kindness. He never acted like the second brother or the son of the leader of the Sky Cloud Martial School. Luo Hanshan grinned and said, "You are a treasure of our Sky Cloud Martial School. How can I not care about you?" Hearing him, the head elder and the 4th elder also grinned. The sun slowly went down. The fighting performance was coming to an end. Zhuang Qingxian stood up and said, "Everyone, although the fighting performance is over, the celebration banquet is not. There will be a banquet in the evening. I hope you can all come." "No problem. We rarely come to the Emerald Martial Palace. We are not in a hurry to leave. Since there will be a banquet for us, let's enjoy ourselves." "Leader Zhuang, don't worry. We will definitely attend the banquet." It was already late, and it was not convenient for them to travel. Therefore, they didn't refuse and decided to stay in the Emerald Martial Palace for the night and leave the next morning. The banquet was very sumptuous. Everyone started to eat. In a secret hall of the Emerald Martial Palace, the hall was brightly lit, and the elders of the top 4 martial institutions were sitting in the hall. The leader of the Emerald Martial Palace, Zhuang Qingxian, was sitting in the first seat, and 2 inner elders of the Emerald Martial Palace were sitting beside him. Zhuang Qingxian glanced at the crowd and said, "I have called you all to attend this meeting because I have an important announcement." The head elder of the Rudra Martial School was a beautiful woman, about 35 years old. She said, "What is it? Is it related to the top 5 martial institutions?" "Related to the top 5 martial institutions?" Hearing the woman's words, the others seemed to be thinking about something, and their faces turned serious. Zhuang Qingxian nodded. "It's indeed related to the 5 major sects, but it's not that serious for now. Half a month ago, a disciple of our Emerald Martial Palace found a branch of the Ghost Corpse Mountain by chance. Although he didn't manage to sneak in, judging from the security around it, it is undoubtedly one of the most important strongholds of the Ghost Corpse Mountain, which is used to train the new generation of Ghost Guards. The branch of the Ghost Corpse Mountain. Ghost Guards. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. The incident of Malevolent Earth sect being annihilated was still vivid in their minds. The Ghost Man was one of the 108 ghost warriors of the Nine Evil cult, and his power was as deep as the ocean. Although he hadn't fully recovered from his injuries and hadn't reached his peak, he was still not someone that the leaders of the top martial institutions could compete with, even if they joined hands. The Ghost Man used to live in the Ghost Corpse Mountain. Later on, a great war broke out, and the Ghost Corpse Mountain was destroyed. However, its name was still there, and it became a symbol of the Ghost Man's power. Besides the 5 loyal ghost servants, the Ghost Man also had a large number of Ghost Guards. The Ghost Guards were divided into 4 levels. The low-level Ghost Guards were the weakest, equivalent to late, condensing reality, realm warriors. The mid-level Ghost Guards were equivalent to early clasping Yuan realm warriors. The high-level Ghost Guards were at mid-clasping Yuan realm, and above them were the top Ghost Guards at late clasping Yuan realm. Each level of Ghost Guards had a Ghost Guard leader, who was the most powerful Ghost Guard of the same level. If that was all, there would be no need to worry too much. After all, it was not that easy to increase one's cultivation, and training Ghost Guards was not something that could be done in a day or two. However, the reason why the Ghost Man was able to rank in the upper middle level among the 108 Ghost Warriors was not because of his own power. Instead, he relied on the method of training Ghost Guards. No one knew where he found a scroll that could stimulate the potential of the human body. This scroll could allow ordinary people to have a cultivation speed that was even faster than geniuses. Of course, there were also disadvantages. Because of the excessive stimulation of potential, the Ghost Guards who trained in this scroll could not live past the age of 40. Only a few of them could live past the age of 40, and their bodies would start to deteriorate. They would age prematurely. Because of this, the Ghost Guards of the Ghost Corpse Mountain were all extremely cruel and evil. They wanted to enjoy everything they could before the age of 40, and they did not care about anything at all. The head elder of the North Snow Martial Academy said, "Leader Zhuang, you mean we should destroy the Ghost Corpse Mountain's branch?" "That's right. We can't let the Ghost Corpse Mountain rise again. We have to do everything we can to weaken the Ghost Corpse Mountain's power before the Ghost Man fully recovers. Otherwise, in a few years, the 5 top-ranked martial institutions and entire Windy Nation's martial world will face a disaster." As the leader of the 5 top-ranked martial institutions, the Emerald Martial Palace not only needed to suppress the other 4 top-ranked martial institutions, but also needed to eliminate all the dangers of the Windy Nation. Otherwise, they would be the first ones to suffer. The head elder of the Sky Cloud Martial School nodded. "That's right, I agree with Leader Zhuang's suggestion. Do you have any plans? Besides, we are still not sure how powerful that branch of the Ghost Corpse Mountain is. If we attack it recklessly, I'm afraid something unexpected might happen." The 5th elder of the Purple Sun Martial School sneered. "Since when did the Sky Cloud Martial School become so timid? It's just a branch of the Ghost Corpse Mountain. How powerful can it be?" The tall and sturdy 4th elder retorted, "How about your Purple Sun Martial School take the lead?" Facing an external enemy, the 5 top-ranked martial institutions should work together. If our Purple Sun Martial School takes the lead, wouldn't that be breaking the rule? Don't even mention it. The 5th elder of the Purple Sun Martial School glared at the 4th elder of the Sky Cloud Martial School. Seeing this, the head elder of the Rudra Martial School shook his head and said, "Let's hear what Leader Zhuang has to say first." Zhuang Qingxian sorted out his thoughts and said, I think the 5 top-ranked martial institutions should each send out a group of warriors to attack the Ghost Corpse Mountains branch together. In each group, there should be at least 3 late Clasping Yuan Realm warriors, 7 mid Clasping Yuan Realm warriors, and 15 early Clasping Yuan Realm warriors. The total number should be over 100. Of course, we can also bring some of our disciples to train themselves in the battles. Great, let's do that. When should we do it? The North Snow Martial Academy style had always been swift and decisive, just like their blade skills. The 8th of August. Zhuang Qingxian continued. Tomorrow morning, you have to be careful on your way back. I suspect that some people from the Ghost Corpse Mountain have sneaked into the Emerald Martial Palace. They might try to harm you. If it weren't for the fact that the Ghost Corpse Mountain was right under his nose, Zhuang Qingxian wouldn't have reminded them at all. After all of them were top-ranked inner elders of the 4 top-ranked martial institutions. Even one death would be a great loss, not to mention those talented disciples who could become the pillars of their martial institutions in the future. However, for the long term, Zhuang Qingxian had to say it out loud. Otherwise, if they were ambushed on their way back, some people would start to suspect the Emerald Martial Palace, and it would be even more difficult for them to work together in the future. At the very least, the Emerald Martial Palace was the overlord of the Windy Nation. 1 or 2 top-ranked inner elders and talented disciples would not be able to shake their foundation, so there was no need to worry too much. Late at night, the starlight was dim and the moon was hiding in the clouds. The ground was pitch black. A chopstick-shaped insect with 4 pairs of wings flew out from a luxurious yard and disappeared in the blink of an eye. In the green willow house, under the crystal lamp, Yi Chun started reading the sword manual from the beginning again. The battle this afternoon had benefited him a lot. His understanding of swordsmanship had also deepened, especially after seeing so many experts of the younger generation spar with each other. It had broadened his horizons a lot. In this regard, he felt that he was far from reaching the limit of what he could achieve. He wanted to gain some insights from the sword manual. As he flipped through the pages of the sword manual, Yi Chen's eyes shone even brighter. In the other residences, none of the young warriors who had participated in the fight this afternoon had fallen asleep. Just like Yi Chen, they had all learned a lot from the sword manual. As long as they could digest all of these, they would definitely be able to make further progress and surpass their opponents who were at the same level as them. The night was getting darker, and the Emerald Martial Palace was in a dead silence. In the morning, Yi Chen and the others immediately bid farewell and came to the entrance of the Emerald Martial Palace. Swoosh! He blew a whistle that contained his zhenqi. The wind vulture, which was standing on a mountain not far away, flew over at an extremely high speed and landed in front of the 5 of them. Getting on the vulture, the head elder said in a deep voice, "On our way back, we need to rest and store up our strength and prepare for the upcoming battle." Luo Hanshan was shocked and asked, "Head elder, what happened?" The 4th elder shook his head and responded, "Don't ask too much. Maybe we have been worrying too much." Hearing this, Yi Chen, Luo Hanshan, and Luo Hanshan's eyes flashed with a strange light. Did something big happen? Last night, the leader of the Emerald Martial Palace had called them to the banquet because of this. The wind vulture flew into the clouds. Its speed instantly broke through the sound barrier and flew away at lightning speed. In the afternoon, the wind vulture was already around 20,000 miles away from the Emerald Martial Palace. A strange bug brushed past the wind vulture, which attracted Yi Chen's attention. Soon, a few more bugs were discovered. Perhaps it was because the wind vulture was too fast, and those bugs were relatively small. Neither the head elder nor the 4th elder noticed them. When the 9th bug was discovered, Yi Chen couldn't help but ask, "Head elder, what's wrong with these bugs?" The head elder turned around and took a glance at Yi Chen. Seeing that he didn't seem to be joking, he hurriedly stopped the wind vulture, looked around, and immediately found a chopstick-shaped bug. "Come here." The head elder waved his hand, and that chopstick-shaped bug was sucked into the head elder's hand without any resistance. Squeak, squeak, squeak! The bug was around 4 inches long, slim and black, with 4 pairs of thin black wings on its back. Its head was a round ball, which was filled with compound eyes, which made it look extremely creepy and scary. At this moment, the chopstick-shaped bug was struggling in the head elder's hand, trying to break through the Zhen-Qi barrier and fly out. With a single glance, the head elder and the 4th elder's faces darkened. The 4th elder said word by word, "4-winged black demon bug." Luo Han was shocked. Is this the 4-winged black demon bug that was raised by the ghost artist, one of the 108 ghost warriors of the 9 evil cult? It said that this bug is extremely fast and can be used as a spy. Although it's small, it's as powerful as a 3rd-grade demon beast. He was the son of the leader of the Sky Cloud Martial School, and he knew quite a lot about the 9 evil cult's annihilation. Therefore, he immediately realized what was going on once he heard the name of the chopstick-shaped bug. Indeed, prepare for battle. Our every move is under the enemy's surveillance. They should be not far from here. The head elder shouted. Chapter 134. Before the head elder's voice faded, a swooshing noise came from afar. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 3 silhouettes stood above the clouds, their bodies rising and falling along with the airflow. Ha! 5 of us, not 1 less. All 3 of them were wearing black robes with golden edges and cloaks, which were embroidered with evil ghost patterns. At this moment, the middle-aged man in black robes, who seemed to be the leader, glared at the 3 of them and let out a cruel laugh. The head elder knew that these 3 people must be the ghost guards of the Ghost Corpse Mountain, but he still yelled, "Who are you?" "The ones who will kill you." The middle-aged man in black robes on the left pulled out his long blade and launched a hack. Puff! The clouds were torn apart, and a gigantic, gray blade chi, which was tens of meters long, flashed across the sky and appeared in front of the wind vulture. Bastard! The head elder's long hair and beard fluttered in the air as he pointed his finger out. Puff! The blade chi was penetrated by the finger power and shattered. Sky-burning palm. The 4th elder couldn't wait any more. He raised his red-hot, iron-like palm and launched a hack, evaporating the clouds. Kill! The middle-aged man in black robes, who seemed to be the leader of the group, made his move. He pressed his right hand in the air and released a tens of meters long, gray, gigantic palm made of Zhen-Qi. Not only did it shatter the 4th elder's palm power, it also moved towards the wind vulture and Yi Chen's group like a dark cloud. The head elder was fighting against another man in the air. Seeing the sky turn dark, he immediately knew what was going on. He calmly stepped on the wind vulture's back and let it descend into the clouds. The gigantic palm made of Zhen-Qi almost grazed the wind vulture's body and shattered the clouds in that area. Shock waves spread out in all directions, stirring up the sea of clouds. Where do you think you're going? The man in black robes, who hadn't joined the fight yet, swooped down from the clouds and blocked the wind vulture's way. The head elder's face darkened. He controlled the wind vulture and swooped down, trying to fight the man on the ground. A fierce gale roared, and the ant-sized mountains on the ground quickly enlarged. When the wind vulture was still thousands of meters away from the ground, a gigantic palm made of Zhen-Qi swooped down at an even faster speed. The wind vulture was indeed a 5th-level beast. It flapped its wings and sped up once again, drawing an arc in the air and barely dodging the gigantic Zhen-Qi palm. At last, the wind vulture successfully landed on a mountain peak that was flat and stable. The 3 of you, don't split up. Han Shan, release the silver light thunderbolt bomb at the critical moment, the great elder ordered as he stomped on the ground. Lu Han nodded seriously, then said to Yi Qin and Su Jing, "Don't worry, we'll just stand aside and watch. They can't do anything to us." Yi Qin, on the other hand, was not too worried. The sect had given them a lot of life-saving treasures when they went on such a long journey. As for the silver light thunderbolt bomb that the great elder mentioned, although he had never heard of it before, it was definitely not an ordinary item for the great elder to value it so much. Boom! The mountain peak shook. The great elder and the middle-aged man in black robes had already started fighting. Both of them were powerful late clasping yuan realm martial artists. Every single move of theirs could shake a mountain. Some beasts that were startled by the fight were smashed into meat paste by the fierce chi of the two of them before they could even run away. On the other side, the fourth elder and the wind vulture were fighting against the other two middle-aged men in black robes. Although the fourth elder was not as powerful as the great elder, he was still a late clasping yuan realm martial artist, and the martial skill he had used was a mid-rank earth realm palm art, the sky-burning palm, which was able to burn everything in its path. The wind vulture was only as powerful as a mid-clasping yuan realm martial artist, which was not as powerful as the fourth elder, but it had a super-fast speed, which allowed it to keep the fourth elder occupied. The fight between the five of them and the beast had nothing to do with Yi Qin and the other two. Lu Hanzhan sighed and said, "The Ghost Corpse Mountain couldn't wait any longer. It seems that the ghost artist's recovery time is getting closer and closer." The ghost artist? Yi Qin and Su Jing both looked at Lu Hanzhan. Lu Hanzhan explained, "Once upon a time there was a powerful martial institution in the South Shore region called the Nine Ghost Cult. The Nine Ghost Cult had 108 ghost warriors under its leadership, and the ghost artist was one of them. Later on, the Nine Ghost Cult became more and more ambitious. They wanted to unify the entire South Shore region and enslave all the other martial institutions. As a last resort, all the other martial institutions joined hands and started a war against the Nine Ghost Cult, which lasted for years. 20 years ago, the Nine Ghost Cult was finally wiped out. All the powerful martial artists of the Nine Ghost Cult were either killed or escaped. The ghost artist's injury should have been caused by that time. How could such a thing happen? Yi Chen had never heard anything about the Nine Ghost Cult. Of course, this had something to do with his experience. Many people in the martial world might have heard about it. However, this Nine Ghost Cult was way too powerful. It was able to fight against all the martial institutions in the South Shore region by itself. It must be at least rank 5. Yi Qin was shocked. Su Jing asked, "How is the ghost artist's power?" Lu Hanzhan gave a bitter smile and responded, "He was at the late astral reaching realm when he was at his peak, and now he should be at the early astral reaching realm. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to wipe out the evil Earth Martial School in one night." Hearing him, both Su Jing and Yi Qin gasped silently. A late astral reaching realm martial artist. A martial artist at this level could easily destroy 1,000 Zhangtal Mountain with a single move, while clasping yuan realm martial artist could only destroy 100-meter tall mountain. The two of them were not even on the same level. If the ghost artist recovered his full power, not to mention a single martial institution, even if all 5 of the top martial institutions joined hands, they might not be able to escape the fate of being wiped out. The power gap between them was way too huge and couldn't be made up by numbers. Heavenly Ghost Seal. Purple Light Finger. High up in the air, a hill-sized gray-black Shin Chi hand clashed against a thin and long beam of purple light. The air was instantly pushed apart like waves, and the aftermath of the collision was powerful enough to kill an ordinary, early clasping yuan realm martial artist. As for condensing reality realm martial artists, they would all be killed. Right at this moment, Yi Qin sensed a slight swishing sound coming from all directions. Someone is coming. The 3 of them stood on top of a mountain and looked down. Soon, they saw hundreds of black dots gathering towards this mountain at an extremely high speed. "Let's fight." Lu Hanzhan seemed to be very calm. After about 10 blinks of an eye, the first man in black appeared on top of the mountain. His Zhen Qi vibration was very strong. He was an early clasping yuan realm martial artist. "Kill." He gave a vicious grin, then rushed towards the 3 of them without any hesitation. Lu Hanzhan shook his head. flicked his wrist, and threw out a silver iron bomb, which swished across the air and bumped against the protective Jin Chi of the man in black. Boom! A scorching silver lightning bolt burst out, and the man in black was instantly blown into pieces, leaving a 10-meter deep pit on the ground. Yi Chen popped out his eyes. Silver Light Thunderbolt Bomb is way too powerful. An early clasping yuan realm martial artist didn't even have a chance to fight back before he was blown into pieces. In other words, with a few Silver Light Thunderbolt bombs, an early clasping yuan realm martial artist could be killed within a second. Lu Hanshan said coldly, "We don't have many Silver Light Thunderbolt bombs. After we kill the more powerful ones, we'll take care of the rest." That's exactly what I wanted. Su Jing was already itching to join the fight. Soon, another 2 men in black rushed up. They were also early clasping yuan realm martial artists. After all, only those with higher cultivation could fly in the front, while those with lower cultivation stayed behind. Boom! 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 Explosive sounds of the Silver Light Thunderbolt bombs rose one after another, except for 1 man in black who was quick enough to dodge. All the other men in black had the same ending. They all died without even leaving a complete corpse. The man in black who had dodged was also hit by the aftermath of the explosion of the Silver Light Thunderbolt bomb and lost one of his legs. Great Monument Heavenly King Fist. Lu Hanshan's eyes shone brightly as he threw out a punch. The gigantic Zhen Qi fist gripped the purple monument and crushed that badly wounded man in black to death. Blood, mist spread out in the air. At this moment, Lu Hanshan's killing intent was completely released. He was no longer as gentle as before. He now looked like a god of slaughter. One after another, the other men in black rushed up the mountain. Pop! Pop! 2 fiery halos appeared behind Su Jing's head. She stomped on the ground and cracked it open. With each punch, she killed 2 late condensing reality realm men in black. Yi Chen wasn't slow either. He performed the sky cloud sword art together with the sword intent. His thick sword chi was almost like a cutting machine. Wherever the sword chi reached, the men in black would be cut in half, their intestines and internal organs spilled out, then turned into blood, missed by the aftermath of the sword chi. "Little brat, you're courting death." 2 peak-level late, condensing reality, realm men in black robes flashed and surrounded Yi Chen. They were much more powerful than ordinary men in black robes. They were no weaker than the number 1 inner disciple of the Emerald Martial Palace, Qingjun. But of course, after reaching the late condensing reality realm, Yi Chen didn't see these men as weak opponents anymore. He didn't say a word. Instead, he used the sky cloud sword art together with the crane shadow steps and dashed between the 2 men like a misty cloud. Puff! Puff! 2 men's heads suddenly flew into the air. Blood gushed out from their necks. Kill! 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 More and more men in black robes appeared on the mountain. Among them were ordinary men in black robes. Some were as powerful as Chengjun. There were even 1 or 2 child-to-be level men in black robes. Fortunately, all of the clasping yuan realm men in black robes had been killed by Lu Hanshan's Silver Light Thunderbolt bombs. Otherwise, even if the 3 of them managed to resist for a while, they wouldn't be able to survive. Top heaven. Facing the great pressure, Su Jing finally burst out her hidden power. She activated the 9th level of the Golden 3 realm art, and a dazzling fiery halo appeared behind her head. It was half the size of a human, shining with a golden light, making her look like a female warrior from the ancient times. 3 men in black robes, who wanted to sneakily attack Su Jing, didn't even have the time to react before they were killed by Su Jing's fierce fist power. Their backs even exploded. The power of the 9th level of the Golden 3 realm art was unimaginably powerful. Lu Hanshan had also activated the extreme purple art to the 9th level. A stream of purple chi appeared behind his back, extending into the air like a bridge, increasing his fighting power. At this moment, he launched the great monument Heavenly King Fist, which made him almost invincible. Wherever he went, all the men in black robes would be killed without being able to fight back. Even a child-to-be level man in black robes was knocked back by Lu Hanshan's 3 punches. Yi Chen's Zhen Qi cultivation was not as good as the other two, but he had the pure jade body-boosting spell. Half a month ago, he had already reached the 5th level of the spell, the golden jade body. With only the defensive power of his body, even those child-to-be level men in black robes would not be able to hurt him. However, he still felt that it was not enough, so he activated the pure Junzhen Qi to protect himself, which meant that he now had 2 layers of defense, one inside and one outside. Chapter 135. Puff! One of the black-clothed men held a long blade and hacked on the protective Qi layer, causing the protective Qi layer to dim down. Yi Chen didn't even turn his head around. He only swung the hidden cloud, sword backwards. The sword Qi released from the sword immediately cut off the black-clothed man's head and sent it flying in all directions. Kill this little bastard. He has mastered the half-step sword intent. We can't let him live. Indeed, kill him. The Ghost General will definitely reward us. Maybe he will teach us even more advanced martial skills. Kill. The 3 of them had killed nearly 20 black-clothed men, but the number of black-clothed men on the mountaintop had increased. Almost every second, 2 or 3 black-clothed men would rush up to the mountaintop and join the battle. 7 or 8 of them had their eyes fixed on Yi Chen. Their eyes were shining with a gray light and filled with a strong killing intent. Corpse King Fist. 10 flashes of Ghost Shadow. Crazy Devil Blade Art. Ghost God Grab. All of the black-clothed men released waves of fierce qi, attacking towards Yi Chen. Yi Chen took a step forward, creating a few huge cracks on the ground. He raised the hidden cloud sword high with his right hand, slightly prepared himself, then swung it down. Limitless Cloud. Puff. The thick sword qi cut apart all of those fierce qi waves, but the remaining power of the sword qi didn't disappear. It flashed through the group of black-clothed men. Puff, puff, puff. The bodies of the 3 black-clothed men who were standing in the middle of the group were suddenly torn into pieces and scattered on the ground. The other black-clothed men were also affected by the sword qi. Their protective Jin qi was shattered and blood spurted out of their mouths. All devils fall. On the other side, Su Jing had used all of her Jin qi. She shook both of her fists and sent out a bright golden light. All of the black-clothed men within a 5-zhang radius started vomiting blood and fell on the ground. None of them could stand up again. Great monument suppression. Seeing more and more men in black, Luo Hanshan finally gave up on consuming his Jin qi. Purple smoke burst out from his body, while he clasped his hands together and smashed down. Instantly, a 10-meter-tall purple monument smashed down, smashing 4 men in black into pieces. A faint purple shockwave spread out and sent all the other men in black flying away, vomiting blood. High up in the sky, the eyes of the leader of the black-robed men were about to burst into flames when he saw this scene. He slapped the air with his palm, and a huge, grayish-black hand of Jin qi that was dozens of meters wide covered a small half of the mountain. It enveloped Yi Chen and the other black-robed men, wanting to kill them all. Ah, run! The black-robed men on the mountain peak felt as if their minds were being torn apart. They flew in all directions like birds and beasts. Rumble! The ground sank by 3 feet. Most of the black-clothed men failed to escape. They were smashed into blood mist by the pressure of the Zhan Qi giant hand, and not even their bones were left. Yi Chen and the other 2 were bleeding from their 7 apertures. They were overwhelmed with shock. This palm strike was launched from over 1,000 meters away. Before it even landed, they were already unable to withstand it. If it had landed, they would have died. At this moment, Lu Hanshan roared out in anger. Break! A longan-sized crystal ball appeared in his hand. It was completely transparent and contained a bright red light. At first glance, one would even think that the crystal ball was blue. Being injected with his Zhen Qi, the crystal ball was shattered. In the next moment, the red light dazzled and formed a 1-foot-thick, semicircular light shield around the three of them. Streams of air had been rotating inside the shield. Boom! The gigantic Zhen Qi giant hand pressed on the light shield, causing a creaking noise. It seemed that the light shield would shatter at any moment and turn the three of them into meat paste. However, the light shield eventually lasted and gradually destroyed the gigantic Zhen Qi giant hand. What is this? A strange look flashed across Yi Chen's eyes. The Longan-sized red crystal ball taken out by Lu Hanshan was almost exactly the same as his blue crystal ball, except for its color. His blue crystal ball was given to him by Yi Hai. Could it be that the red crystal ball and the blue crystal ball had the same origin, and both of them had the effect of shattering the light shield? What was the name of the crystal ball? Did Yi Hai know about its effect? All of a sudden, many thoughts flashed across Yi Chen's mind, but he didn't ask Lu Hanshan about it. Seeing that his attack did not kill the three of them, a shocked expression flashed across the middle-aged man's face. With his late, clasping Yuan realm cultivation, even from 1,000 meters away, he could easily kill 3 early clasping Yuan realm martial artists with a single attack, not to mention 3 late condensing reality realm martial artists. However, that layer of light shield that appeared later was way too powerful. It had forcibly destroyed the huge Zhen Qi palm, making him fail. Purple light paradise. The head elder was still scared. If he had been killed by the mysterious man just now, he wouldn't even know how to explain to the leader of the school. Fortunately, Lu Hanshan had quite a lot of treasures with him, which helped him survive. Thinking of this, the head elder activated his Zhen Qi and shot out a purple beam of light. The middle-aged man in black robes paused slightly, but fortunately he reacted fast enough. He moved his body 3 feet to the side and dodged that purple beam of light. Puff! A thumb-sized hole appeared on the mountaintop, which was immeasurably deep. 90% of the power of the light shield had been consumed when it was fighting against the gigantic Zhen Qi giant hand. After a while, the light shield became thinner and thinner, turning into pure Yuan Qi and merging with the air. Lu Hanshan wiped the sweat off his forehead. What happened just now was way too dangerous. Fortunately, Luo Xinglia had given him a Yuan light ball before he came here. Yuan light ball was found in a part of the ruins of a super powerful rank 5 martial institution, the puppet school, which was located 5,000 years ago, along with the method of making wooden puppets. Are you all right? Lu Hanshan turned around and asked. Yi Qin had a strong body. That palm attack had only squeezed out wisps of blood from his eyes, nose, mouth, and ears, but hadn't injured him at all. Su Jing was protected by the Golden 3-Realm art, so she was also fine. That's good. Looking around, Yi Qin found that only a few of those men in black robes were still alive. Most of them had been smashed to death by the middle-aged man in black robes in the air. Of course, this was the best outcome for them. Otherwise, it would be very troublesome to kill them all. After all, they were only late condensing reality realm warriors, and their Zhen Qi was very limited. They could still fight for a short period of time, but if they fought for a long period of time, they would have problems. They did have some Zhen Qi replenishing pills, and they had already taken quite a few of them. If they continued to take more, their Zhen Qi would be greatly reduced, and it would also easily cause the Zhen Qi to be mixed up. Therefore, they shouldn't take too many pills within a day. After killing the rest of the men in black robes, the 3 of them each took out a low-rank soul stone and started absorbing the Yuan Qi contained in it to replenish their own Zhen Qi. Caw! The fight between the Wind Vulture and the man in black robes was very fast, mainly because of the Wind Vulture's fast speed. The Wind Vulture circled around the man in black robes, trying to tear him apart with its claws. The man in black robes was able to deal with all kinds of attacks by remaining calm, and whenever he found a flaw, he would launch a thick blade chi, which nearly injured the wind vulture. No, this wind vulture is way too fast. By the time I launch my blade attack, it would have already increased the distance between us. If we keep fighting like this, we won't be able to finish it within a short period of time. The man in black robes had already seen what was happening on the mountain, and he knew that he had to make a decision. The blade chi attack failed again, and a fierce look flashed across the man's face. He stared at the wind vulture and stood still in the air. The wind vulture flashed in the air for a few times, and after a few turns, it jumped towards the man from the left. It was as fast as a lightning bolt, and its speed was almost as fast as the speed of sound. Puff! This time, it was much easier than before. The wind vulture easily broke the man's protective Jin Chi, and the sharp tip of its claws had already pierced into the man's body. The man in black robes was about to be torn into pieces. Die! The man in black robes turned his body sideways and launched a blade attack on the wind vulture's body. Blood splashed down like a rain of blood. The wind vulture screamed in pain and fell down. Hee, today is the day you die. The man in black robes didn't even have the time to launch another blade attack. Instead, he released his Jin Chi and arrived on the mountaintop within a few blinks of an eye. Great monument suppression. Shocking cloud limitless. All devils fall. A gigantic purple monument, a thick stream of sword chi, and a dazzling golden light. All three attacked towards the man in black robes simultaneously. It was Yi Qin and the other two who had launched the attack. The moment they launched the attack, they quickly stepped back. It's useless. The man in black robes slightly waved his long blade, and the purple monument was broken into pieces. The sword chi was shattered, and the golden light dissipated. The man in black robes didn't even have the slightest power to fight back. However, this was all part of their plan. Not knowing when, 4 silver iron balls appeared around the man in black robes. Each of these silver balls had a faintly discernible thread of Jin Chi connected to Lu Hanshan's body. Boom! Along with Lu Hanshan's growl, 4 silver lightning bolts dazzled simultaneously and wrapped the man in black robes up, eventually forming a gigantic silver lightning ball. The lightning ball was thickly covered with silver snakes, letting out a sizzling noise. Even from a long distance away, Yi Chun could feel his fine hair standing straight up and his scalp going numb. It turned out that Lu Hanshan had already thrown 4 silver light thunderbolt bombs on the mountaintop, forming a large square formation. Afterwards, he and the other 2 were also in the middle of the square formation. In case someone attacked, they could retreat in time and launch a fatal attack. However, they didn't expect that the man in black robes would attack first. This man was slightly weaker than the other 2. He was at the peak of the mid-clasping Yuan realm. His opponent was the wind vulture. Except for its great speed, it obviously couldn't do any harm to the man in black robes. Instead, it was set up by the man in black robes and was badly injured, falling down from the mountaintop. Silver light thunderbolt bombs can kill peak-level early condensing reality realm martial artists and injure mid-condensing reality realm martial artists. Although I've set up 4 of them, they are still too far away. I don't think they will be able to kill him. I should be careful. Lu Hanshan looked very cautious. He had already used up the last 4 silver light thunderbolt bombs. If they still couldn't kill the man in black robes, then he would have to risk his life. His Jin Chi surged out of his body. He was ready for a great fight. The 3 fiery rings behind Su Jing's head grew even brighter, and her eyes looked even sharper. At the same time, Yi Qin had already concentrated all of his power and chi into a single point. He was planning to launch a fatal attack on the man with the heart refining. He believed that the man in black robes wouldn't be injured by the explosion of 4 silver light thunderbolt bombs. As long as the man was injured, Yi Chen's heart refining would definitely be able to further injure him, maybe even kill him with a single attack. Pop! The silver lightning ball shattered, revealing the man in black robes. His entire body was scorched black, the color of his skin could no longer be seen. Cyan smoke was still rising from some of the large wounds on his body, along with the smell of grilled meat. Bastard, I want you to die without a proper burial. The man in black robes slightly moved his body. Then he tried to spurt out blood from his mouth. But the blood seemed to have been evaporated by the electric current. Only a puff of white smoke came out. He raised his head and stared at the three people with his devil-like, blood-red eyes. Chapter 136. Puff. The first one to launch the attack was Yi Qin. He wielded his sword and released a thick stream of sword chi, which transformed into a beam of white light and instantly hit the assassin's body. However, this sword attack only left a bone-deep mark on the assassin's body, but failed to penetrate deep. A layer of blood-red light emerged from under the assassin's skin, which not only blocked the sword chi from penetrating into his body, but also destroyed the sword chi in a flash. Then came Su Jing's devil-suppressing fist power. The dazzling golden light struck on that layer of blood-red light like a waterfall, causing muffled popping noises. East rising purple chi, great monument suppression. The bridge-like purple mist poured into his body. Lu Hanshan growled out, clasped his hands together, and smashed towards the assassin. Instantly, the gigantic monument, which was shining with a purple light, suddenly pressed down, seeming to shatter the blood-red light and shatter the assassin into pieces. Bang! However, the purple monument was the one that shattered in the end. The black-clothed swordsman's scorched skin started to crack, and a bloody light came out from the cracks. It was rich and red, like the magma underground. It was abnormally eye-catching. The purple steel was hit by the bloody light and immediately melted, turning into pure yuan qi. At this moment, two beams of blood-red light darted out from the assassin's eyes. He grinned viciously and said, "Let's die together!" The blood, devil body, separating magic. Rumble. The thunderous sound was not made by the assassin. Instead, it was the sound of the mountain collapsing. It turned out that after the explosion of the 4 silver light thunderbolt bombs, the area where the assassin was standing was already showing signs of breaking. Then, after being struck by the sword chi, the fist power, and the purple monument, the mountain finally broke, falling down the mountain along with the assassin, disappearing within a blink of an eye. In the next moment, a thunderous sound came out, and the mountain, which was supposed to be stable, tilted to one side. Obviously, it was broken by the assassin's self-explosion. How powerful was that? Fortunately, all 3 of them knew how to fly for a short period of time, so they leapt up into the air. The 3 of them looked down. The mountain had collapsed, the airflow was chaotic, and countless broken rocks had completely buried the assassin, forming a small hill-sized pile of rocks. So dangerous. I didn't think that he had also learned the blood devil body, separating magic. Lu Hanshan was still a little scared. Yi Qin said, "Taoist Master Blood Demon is also one of the ghost generals of the 9 evil cult." Indeed, Master Blood Demon is ranked even higher than Corpse Man among the 108 ghost warriors of the 9 ghost cult. 50 years ago, he was a core disciple of the evil Blood Martial School. Later on, he left the evil Blood Martial School and joined the 9 ghost cult. His power is world-shaking, and he is called Master Blood Demon. Yi Qin had already become numb to the power of the 9 ghost cult. Just 108 ghost warriors were already this powerful, so there must be even more powerful leaders above them. However, he did not know how many of them had died and how many of them had survived. He also did not know if those who had survived were like the Corpse Man trying to make a comeback. Retreat. Seeing that the black-clothed Bladesman was dead, the black-clothed leader knew that he could not do anything to the Flowing Cloud sect. He knocked back the first elder with a palm strike and shouted coldly at another person. Whoosh! Whoosh! The 2 of them were extremely powerful. Although they couldn't defeat the first elder and the 4th elder, it was still very easy for them to escape. In the blink of an eye, They were already several miles away. The fourth elder was about to give chase, but was stopped by the first elder. Don't chase a cornered enemy, not to mention that even if you catch up with them, you won't be able to do anything to them. Great, these two should be the top-grade ghost guards of the Ghost Corpse Mountain, right? The fourth elder had been fighting for a long time. His blood was boiling. He couldn't wait to start another fight. The first elder said, "On the 8th of August, there will be a lot of fights. I'm just afraid that you might get bored." "How come?" The two of them flashed across the air and arrived next to Yi Chen and the other two. Seeing the three of them safe and sound, the first elder let out a sigh of relief, nodded, and said, "Not bad. Being able to survive such a dangerous fight. When we go back, we will definitely be able to reach a higher level." Lu Hanshan asked, "First elder, what is going on? Is the Ghost Corpse Mountain preparing to launch an attack on those top-grade institutions?" The first elder said, "Not yet. I think they are just trying to weaken the powers of those institutions. However, we don't know how long this situation can last. Perhaps in 1 or 2 years, the corpse man will be able to recover his peak power, and that will be the time when the war starts." 1 or 2 years, it's too urgent. Lu Hanshan frowned. The fourth elder grinned and said, "Even if the sky falls down, there will always be someone taller to hold it up. The Emerald Martial Palace is even more anxious than us. Not to mention, no matter how powerful the Ghost Corpse Mountain is, we don't have to be afraid of them. Every top-grade institution has a great elder who is in a life-or-death training. Once the institution faces a crisis, they will definitely come out." "Great elder." Yi Chen's heart skipped a beat, judging from the fourth elder's tone. He seemed to be even more powerful than the leader of the institution. Wasn't that an astral-reaching realm martial artist? No wonder the Ghost Corpse man didn't dare to offend the 5 top-grade institutions, and was even hiding in the shadows. He must be afraid that the great elders of those top-grade institutions would come and hunt him down. The few of them didn't forget about the wind vulture. They started to search for it together. Next to a pile of rocks, the wind vulture was lying on the ground, with a horrifying blade wound on its body. It was bleeding profusely. At the moment, it was trying to stand up, but the wound was way too severe. The head elder sighed. He took out tens of bottles of medicine from his storage ring, unplugged the corks, and activated his Jinqi. He mixed the bottles of medicine together and sprinkled them evenly on the wind vulture's wound. Visibly, the bleeding stopped, and the flesh and blood began to wriggle, as if they were going to merge together. "We shouldn't stay here for long. Let's find a place to settle down first. The institution will send another wind vulture to pick us up." While talking, the storage ring on the head elder's finger flashed with a dim light, and a wooden crow appeared in his hand. The crow was made from hundreds of pieces of black wood and looked very lifelike. Its eyeballs were like soybean-sized gems, shining brightly. Crack! The head elder pressed some kind of button, and a hole appeared on the crow's belly, which seemed to be a groove. A milky white soul stone was stuffed into the crow's belly by the head elder. If Yi Chen guessed it right, this must be a precious mid-rank soul stone, which was equal to 50 low-rank soul stones. The wooden crow's eyes shone with a red light. It flapped its wings and flew towards the Sky Cloud Martial School. Seeing Yi Chen's expression, the head elder smiled and explained, "This is a puppet crow, one of the creations of the Puppet Martial School, which was a rank 5 institution 5,000 years ago. It can travel over 30,000 miles a day, only a little bit slower than the wind vulture. Its power source is soul stones, but they must be mid-rank soul stones. Low-rank soul stones can't support it for long." "Can it know the way?" Yi Chen asked. The head elder shook his head and responded, "This is confidential. I can't tell you." The group of people settled down in a city thousands of miles away. 3 days and 4 nights later, people from the Sky Cloud Martial School arrived, and it wasn't just 1 or 2 of them. A large group of inner elders rode on 4 wind vultures. They boarded the wind vultures and headed for the Sky Cloud Martial School that very night. Under the waterfall, a man was sitting on a huge rock with his legs crossed. The man's upper body was naked, and his muscular back was as straight as a sword, full of indescribable sharpness. No matter how hard the waterfall slammed on his back, it couldn't make him bend even a little bit. Rumble! The sound of the waterfall seemed to be getting louder and louder. It even resounded for miles. Right at this moment, the man raised his right arm. He didn't seem to use much of his strength, but the waterfall suddenly rose up into the sky, forming a huge water sword. Shining with a colorful light under the sunlight, it was dazzling. Go! With a cold shout, the huge water sword pierced towards the mountain next to him. Crack! A huge hole was created on the solid mountain, and the huge water sword also shattered into pieces, turning back into water and gushing out of the hole. Phew! The man slowly let out a breath, turned around, and stood up. It was Yi Chen. He smiled. It had been a couple of days since he had returned to the Sky Cloud Martial School. During these days, he didn't do anything but cultivate under the waterfall. Today, he had finally made a breakthrough. Originally, with his cultivation, he wouldn't be able to turn a waterfall into a huge water sword. He would need to be at least a Clasping Yuan realm martial artist to do so, because only Clasping Yuan realm martial artists could have such a great amount of Jinqi. However, with the help of his half-step sword intent, which was infinitely close to the sword intent, he had succeeded. After a while, the smile on Yi Chen's face disappeared, and he let out a long sigh. Learning the sword intent is way more difficult than I thought. Without any opportunities, I would probably be stuck in this level for a long time. I really don't know how I can learn it. Yi Chen could almost feel the existence of the sword intent. It was like a great sword in the room, and all he needed to do was to open the door curtain slightly. Then he would be able to go in and take the sword out for his own use. However, although he could see the existence of the curtain and the great sword, he felt like he was in a dream, as he could not touch the curtain at all. Every time he tried to touch the curtain, he would only touch the air. The more impatient he was, the harder it would be to touch it. Sometimes Yi Chen even thought that it was an illusion, and that he was not actually close to the sword intent. However, he denied it. Although the mirror flower water moon was an illusion, there was no real flower and moon, so how could it be real? Although he couldn't learn the sword intent, Yi Chen wasn't disappointed. Some things couldn't be begged for. When the time was right, it would naturally appear in front of him. Of course, other than the problem of the sword intent, everything else went smoothly. In these few days, Yi Chen had not only stabilized his late, condensing reality realm cultivation, he had also completely digested all the experience he had gained in the past few days and turned it into his own fighting power. The Sky Cloud Sword Art, the Tyrant Fist Art, and the Crane Shadow Steps, these three martial arts that he had been using for a long time had been upgraded to the next level. He could now use them as he pleased without any restrictions. Now, even if Yi Chen didn't use the one sword art, he could still fight against Shirpatian, who had trained two powerful martial arts. This was undoubtedly a huge improvement. Shirpatian was a well-known child-level martial artist. Being able to fight against him meant that Yi Chen's pure power had also reached the child level. He was almost at the peak of the young generation in the Windy Nation. If he used the one sword art, perhaps only young Master North Snow, young Master Duanmu, and Fast Blade Lynch would be able to compete with him. Of course, it would be best if he didn't use the one sword art. After all, his own power was the most important thing. Chapter 137. Ah, Brother Yi, we didn't know you were here. Just as Yi Chen was thinking, 3 female disciples appeared not far away. They were all about 13 or 14 years old, looking very energetic. Seeing Yi Chen's naked upper body, they immediately turned their heads away with blushing faces. Yi Chen forced a smile. In his world, a naked man was not a big deal, but this world was different. His storage ring shone with a dim light, and clean clothes appeared in his hand. After putting on the clothes, Yi Chen asked, "Are you looking for a place to train?" "Yeah. Brother Yi, Why are you taking a bath here?" The round-faced female disciple was the cutest among them. She was the only one who did not turn her head away, but the other two covered her eyes. "I am training. If you don't mind, I will let you have this place." After saying that, Yi Qin jumped up and landed on top of the waterfall. After a couple of flashes, he disappeared without a trace. "Haha, I told you that Brother Yi is a nice guy, but you didn't believe me. Hee, Brother Yi has a nice body and he is very powerful." Sister disciples, why did Brother Yi run away? Going to the floating cloud palace once every 3 days had become a habit of Yi Chen's. Actually, he did not have to take on a mission every time he went there, but he could see some of the big and small things happening in the Windy Nation from the mission list, which was much better than not knowing what was going on outside. Passing by the ranking jade wall, Yi Chen turned his head to take a look. His name was still the first on the 3rd row, and the first and second rows were the 24 core disciples. Of course, if he wanted to, he could become a core disciple anytime he wanted, and his ranking would be very high, at least in the top 4. However, he did not plan to do so yet because he did not have much confidence in fighting against the hidden scent sword, Zhumei, unless he performed the one sword attack. If I can't become the number 1 core disciple, then there is no point. Shaking his head, Yi Chen was about to enter the floating cloud palace. "Look, Brother Meng Chong is back. I heard that he took on a 3-star black rank mission this time. It seems like he has already completed it. Compared to the inner disciple ranking competition, Senior Brother Meng Chong has improved a lot. I wonder how he compares to Senior Brother Yi Chen?" The surrounding inner disciples discussed among themselves, and their gazes were focused on Meng Chong, who had just returned. Meng Chong didn't care that he had become the center of attention. He said to Yi Chen, who was standing at the entrance of the floating cloud palace, "Let's fight on the Marshall Plaza. I hope you can improve." Yi Chen turned around. "As you wish. Not challenging others was one thing, but when someone came to challenge you, you generally wouldn't refuse. Furthermore, even if you refused, you had to have a good reason. Otherwise, if everyone refused, then what would be the point of the ranking jade wall? There would be no competition." As soon as he finished speaking, the surroundings boiled over. Senior Brother Meng Chong is fighting against Senior Brother Yi Chen again. Shocking news. Quickly go inform the other senior brothers and junior brothers. It's been more than a month, and both senior brothers have improved. The duel will definitely be more exciting. It seems like Senior Brother Meng Chong doesn't plan to become a core disciple if he doesn't defeat Senior Brother Yi Chen. Soon, most of the Sky Cloud Martial School's inner disciples had heard about this news. Without saying anything, they immediately rushed to the Martial Plaza. Within a short period of time, the Martial Plaza was filled with thousands of people. Among them, 200 to 300 were inner disciples who didn't go to do any tasks. Outer disciples made up 80% of the crowd, and a few core disciples were also there. They all wanted to see how powerful Yi Chen and Meng Chong were. On the central platform, Yi Chen and Meng Chong slowly walked onto the platform. "I haven't seen you for more than a month. If your improvement is not obvious, then I am afraid you will lose to me." Meng Chong's aura was even more reserved. Yi Chen glanced at his opponent, shook his head, and said, "You have indeed improved, but you are getting further and further away from me." "Huh." Meng Chong sneered. "You will know after the duel. You will take back your words." A gust of wind blew. Yi Chen's clothes and hair were fluttering in the wind. He said, "Let's begin." "Chin." Taking out his long blade, Meng Chong stomped on the ground and flew towards Yi Chen like a lightning. Blood late. On his way, Meng Chong held his long blade with both of his hands and quickly waved it. Because of his fast speed, his arms seemed to have disappeared into the air. Only the blood-red blade light could be seen, covering the entire platform and completely sealing the space where Yi Chen was. He couldn't back out, he couldn't move forward, and he couldn't dodge. There was only one way left, which was to fight. So powerful, I wonder how senior brother Yi Qin is going to fight? I guess he will have to fight. If senior brother Meng Chong was as powerful as he is now, he would definitely be the #1 inner disciple again. Of course, if he beats senior brother Yi Qin this time, he will still be the #1 inner disciple. It can't be that easy. Senior brother Yi Qin has been to the Emerald Martial Palace. He has seen a lot of things. How could he not have improved? Most of the people still didn't know that Yi Qin had beaten Qingjun and Shurpatian. Only those core disciples knew a little bit about it. Of course, in a day or two, Yi Qin's story would definitely be spread out. How big of a commotion would it cause? When the blood-red blade light reached its peak, Yi Qin threw out his sword. Shoo! No one saw how Yi Qin threw out his sword. They only saw a thin white line of sword qi flash across. Yi Qin's figure had already passed through the blood-red blade light and appeared behind Meng Chong. Dang! Swoosh! The long blade flew out of Meng Chong's hand and stabbed into a stone pillar. It was not over yet. Meng Chong's clothes had also been cut open. The cut was extremely small. Putting the hidden cloud sword back into its scabbard, Yi Qin said lightly, "Your blade skill is not bad. Unfortunately, I have already reached a higher level. You will not be able to compete with me anymore. Too powerful, way too powerful. I didn't even have the slightest chance to fight back. Even now, I, Meng Chong, am still not his opponent. I wouldn't have believed it before, but now I have no choice but to believe it because it has already happened and it happened to me." Meng Chong's heart was filled with shock. He stood there, stunned. Not only Meng Chong was stunned, all of the inner and outer disciples' eyes were blank, and their mouths were wide open, unable to close. Everyone was completely silent. When they came back to their senses, Yi Qin had already left the Martial Plaza. Damn! What did I just see? Senior brother Yi Qin beat senior brother Meng Chong with only one sword attack. How powerful does he have to be able to do that? What an overwhelming advantage. The gap is so huge. Among all the inner disciples, no one can threaten senior brother Yi Qin's position anymore. Just thinking about it makes my scalp numb. Senior brother Meng Chong beat the top 10 inner disciples with only one sword attack. But senior brother Yi Qin beat Meng Chong with only one sword attack. Hearing the inner disciples' discussions, the few core disciples who were watching the fight looked at each other. Time flew by like water. Another 20 days had passed. It was already August. During this time, Yi Qin had never stopped improving. His Zhen Qi cultivation was getting closer to the peak of the late condensing reality realm, and was not far away from Lu Han's Han and the others. As for his sword skills, even he himself didn't know what level he had reached. Perhaps he would only be able to find out if he fought against some child-level young martial artists. Compared to his personal improvement, something big had happened in the Windy Nation. One of the top 5 institutions, the Purple Sun Martial School, had a spy. This spy was an inner elder, but his real identity was actually a powerful warrior under the command of the Ghost Corpse Man. He had been hiding in the Purple Sun Martial School for 15 years, but recently, for some unknown reason, he had betrayed the Purple Sun Martial School and killed an inner elder and 3 outer elders, which had shocked all the powerful forces in the Windy Nation. Yi Qin didn't know what had happened, but the core members of all the institutions knew it clearly. The plan to encircle the Ghost Corpse Mountains branch on the 8th of August had failed, and the reason was because of that spy from the Purple Sun Martial School. He knew that they were going to encircle the Ghost Corpse Mountains branch, so he secretly sent a message to the Ghost Corpse Mountain. But he didn't expect that he would be discovered by another inner elder, and then a fight broke out between them. After that, 3 outer elders came to help, and 4 of them fought against one. However, this spy was indeed powerful. He killed all 4 of them within a short period of time. In the main hall of the Sky Cloud Martial School. At this moment, all the inner elders were discussing something else. Leader, The Heavenly Dream Ancient Region is about to open in October. We should also decide which disciples will participate in it, so that we can prepare in advance. The one who spoke was the fourth elder. Luo Xinglia glanced at the crowd and asked, "Do you have any good suggestions?" The head elder cleared his throat and said, "The Heavenly Dream Ancient Region only opens once every 10 years. It's a rare opportunity. After each trial, nearly 1/10 of the young generation will step into the clasping Yuan realm. Therefore, we have to send our best disciples. Of course, our Sky Cloud Martial School is only a rank 9 institution. We only have 4 quotas. Therefore, I think Zhu Mei and Luo Hanshan must go, plus Su Jing." "What about the other one?" Someone frowned. The fourth elder said, "I think Yi Qin is a good choice." The head elder nodded. He had the same idea. Hearing him, a few inner elders immediately shook their heads. Although Yi Qin is very talented, and he has already comprehended the half-step sword intent, he is obviously not as powerful as the others. It doesn't make sense to let him go. You're right, the Heavenly Dream Ancient Region is an ancient place. Every quota is extremely precious. How can we waste it? We have to send the disciples who have the opportunity to break into the clasping Yuan realm. I think Tao Xiaofeng, who is ranked 3rd among the core disciples, is a good choice. Jingju, who is ranked 4th, is also a good choice. The head elder glanced at the others and said, "Tao Xiaofeng and Jingju are indeed good, but they are not the most talented ones. Even if they managed to step into the clasping Yuan realm, they would only be considered as elites. They would not be able to kill people who are at a higher level than them. However, Yi Chan has already comprehended the half-step sword intent. He will definitely be able to comprehend the true sword intent one day. Once he steps into the clasping Yuan realm, what do you think about his fighting power?" This, the few who disagreed, couldn't find any words to refute. At this moment, Luo Xinglia said, "The Heavenly Dream Ancient Region is located in the desert between the 9 nations, hundreds of thousands of miles away from the Sky Cloud Martial School. Let's not waste any more time. Let's leave in half a month." The quotas are Zhu Mei, Luo Hanshan, Su Jing, and Yi Qin. Hearing the last 2 words, the fourth elder and the head elder glanced at each other and smiled. Chapter 138. The Emerald Martial Palace. In the meeting hall, Zhuang Qingxian, who was sitting on the head seat, pondered for a while, then said, "Elder Lan, you mean we don't have to send our best disciples?" Elder Lan was the head elder of the Emerald Martial Palace. He was already 80 years old. Although he was not very talented, he was still an indispensable pillar of the Emerald Martial Palace. However, in the recent 10 years, because of his old age, he had become more and more conservative. He was one of the few people who opposed the idea of the Heavenly Dream Ancient Region. "Leader, our Emerald Martial Palace is now the dominator of the Windy Nation. We don't have to take the risk. The death rate in the Heavenly Dream Ancient Region is extremely high. 30 years ago, 645 disciples from the 9 nations went in, and only 450 came out. 20 years ago, 630 disciples went in, and only 370 came out. The death rate is getting higher and higher every year. I'm afraid that this time, more than half of the disciples will die." Hearing Elder Lan's words, those inner elders who were about to persuade Elder Lan all became silent. Indeed, it was a fact that the death rate in the Heavenly Dream Ancient Region was very high. If the most talented disciples of the valley were sent into the Heavenly Dream Ancient Region, if they were unlucky, more than half of them might die. To the Emerald Martial Palace, this would be a heavy blow. A radical inner elder stood up and said, "Leader, Elder Lan, you can't say that. We can't be afraid of the high death rate. If I'm not wrong, the other 4 institutions will definitely send their best disciples there. As long as these disciples can come out alive, they will be much more powerful than before. They might even break through to the clasping Yuan realm. By then, the advantage of the younger generation of our Emerald Martial Palace will be gone. Elder Lu is right. It's time for the younger generation to see some blood. If there is an empty quota, I'm willing to send my nephew in. The Heavenly Dream Ancient Region only opens once every 10 years. It's a rare opportunity. We can't waste it. Among the disciples who survive in the Heavenly Dream Ancient Region, 10% of them will break through to the Clasping Yuan realm, which means 30 out of 300 disciples will become Clasping Yuan realm warriors. The second elder, who was standing next to Elder Lon, opened his mouth. Leader, I think we can make a compromise. The Emerald Martial Palace is a rank 7 institution, and we have 8 quotas. Out of the 8 quotas, we can send 4 of our best geniuses, and the remaining 4 can be sent to the Emerald Martial Palace. In this way, even if we lose a lot of people, we won't be hurt too badly. Hearing this, Zhuang Qingxian was a bit tempted. Since the Emerald Martial Palace was the overlord of the Windy Nation, there was indeed no need for them to put all their eggs in one basket. It would be best to have the best of both worlds. Then how do you think the quota should be allocated? Zhuang Qingxian asked. The second elder glanced at Elder Lon and said, Our head disciple, Zhuang Fei, has to go. He is an early Clasping Yuan realm martial artist. He is powerful enough to compete with ordinary mid-Clasping Yuan realm martial artists. With him, the survival of our Emerald Martial Palace's disciples will be more guaranteed. As far as I know, the Rudra Nation has the most Clasping Yuan realm martial artists among the young generation. 4 of them. The White Mystery Nation and the Sky Serpent Nation have 3 each. The other 5 nations are the same as our Windy Nation. They all have 1 or 2 Clasping Yuan realm martial artists. We have to be careful. At this moment, even Elder Lon nodded. Apparently, he agreed with the second elder. The second elder continued, Lu Wuxiang and Jixian have to go as well. They have a great chance to step into the Clasping Yuan realm. Shi Patian hasn't fully recovered yet. He will stay in the Emerald Martial Palace. Lu Xian, who is ranked 5th among the core disciples, will go with the other 4 core disciples who are not in the top 10. Zhuang Qingxian was quite satisfied with the second elder's plan. He said, All right, the quota for the Heavenly Dream Ancient Region has been decided. There is no need to discuss further. In the North Snow Martial Academy, in the conference hall, Shui Warren held his hands behind his back and said, There is nothing to discuss about this. The 8 quotas must be given to the best disciples. I don't want to wait for another 10 years. Just like his blade skills, Shui Warren was always decisive. He would never change his mind. Everyone smiled bitterly and left the hall. After a while, 8 young men walked in. The 3 in the lead were a gentle young man in a white robe, North Snow Fast Blade Lynch, and Tyrant Blade Yu. Leader. All of them greeted him politely. Shui Warren nodded and said, I didn't ask you to come here for any other reason. I just want you to know about the Heavenly Dream Ancient Region and what you should pay attention to. The gentle young man asked, Leader, is it true that the Heavenly Dream Ancient Region cannot be seen with the naked eye? The Heavenly Dream Ancient Region is located in a space crack. It is not open yet. Indeed, it cannot be seen with the naked eye, not even with the spiritual power. This time, when you enter the Heavenly Dream Ancient Region, you should remember to stop while you're ahead and focus on steadily improving your power. Don't be greedy and don't become the target of everyone. You should know that an innocent man will get into trouble because of his treasures. If you have something that makes others jealous, you should either kill them immediately or throw it away. The Heavenly Dream Ancient Region had many treasures, such as magical weapons, natural medicines, and secret manuals. The reason why the 5 top-ranked institutions had become more and more powerful was because they would send a batch of disciples into the Heavenly Dream Ancient Region every 10 years. After they came back, the number of treasures and secret manuals in their institutions would increase. Of course, they wouldn't just contribute to the institutions for free. The leaders of the institutions would reward them with spirit stones according to the value of those treasures. In the yard, Yi Chen was sitting under a tree with his legs crossed, without moving even a little bit. This tree was a common dark tree in the Windy Mountain. It had started to shed its leaves in July, and now it was already mid-September. Its leaves were falling very fast. Even if it was only a slight breeze, 3 to 4 leaves would fall down. A couple of hours later, Yi Chen's hair and clothes were covered with dozens of withered leaves. From far away from the yard came a series of light footsteps, which were getting closer and closer. "Is Yi Chen in?" "Excuse me, is Yi Chen in?" "Creak." The man called out for a few times, but no one responded, so he pushed open the door and walked in. The one who came in was an executor disciple, who used to be an inner disciple. According to the rules of the institution, if an inner disciple failed to step into the clasping yuan realm before the age of 24, he or she would have to transfer to the steward's hall and become a fighting or non-fighting member of the institution. Of course, once an inner disciple stepped into the clasping yuan realm, he or she could also become an outer elder, which was the most important thing. This executor disciple was about 25 years old and was at the peak of the late condensing reality realm. Compared to most of the inner disciples, he or she was quite powerful, almost as powerful as the top 10 inner disciples. Soon he saw Yi Chen, who was sitting under the tree with his legs crossed, and slightly frowned. When a martial artist was cultivating, he or she was not allowed to be disturbed. If he or she was interrupted at a critical moment, the other party might even want to kill him or her. The executor disciple smiled helplessly, stood aside and waited without making any sound. Whoosh! Suddenly a gust of wind blew across, and tens of withered leaves fell down, fluttering in the air. At this moment, Yi Chen opened his eyes, which were shining with a sharp light. When the executor disciple was about to say something, he saw an amazing scene. He saw Yi Chen glance at the fallen leaves in front of him. As if they had been cut by an invisible sharp blade, they suddenly split into 2, 2 into 4, 4 into 8, and all of a sudden, the leaves turned into dust. Sword Intent, the legendary sword Intent. The executor disciple screamed in his mind. Although he was just an ordinary executor disciple, it did not mean that he was not knowledgeable. Whether it was in the ancient books or by word of mouth, a sword artist who had mastered the sword Intent could use invisible things to hurt people. For example, by giving a strand of sword Intent to the air, it could be extremely lethal. Just now, Yi Chen had used his eyes to infuse the sword Intent into the air in front of him and easily cut the leaves. "What's the matter?" Standing up, Yi Chen shook off the leaves on his body and asked. The executor disciple said respectfully, "Headmaster wants to see you." "Lead the way then." Yi Chen looked very calm. These days, his desire for the sword Intent was not that urgent anymore. Every day after he finished his training, he would sit under a big tree and meditate for a while. He would go into Taishu and forget about everything around him. Perhaps it was because of this kind of transcendent mentality that he had broken through the half-step sword Intent and finally mastered the real sword Intent that every sword artist dreamed of. No matter it was his aura or his soul, they had all been improved. As for what level he had reached, he was still not sure yet. "Yes," the executor disciple said with a humble tone. Normally, he did not need to flatter the inner disciples or the core disciples, but when facing Yi Chen, he naturally showed his respect. It was not surprising, after all, in this true spirit continent, powerful warriors were always respected. Even the most talented geniuses would have to show some respect in front of powerful warriors who were at a very high level. Otherwise, they would just be acting recklessly and could be killed at any time. Being led by the executor disciple, Yi Chen arrived at the lobby. In the lobby, Zhu Mei, Luo Hanshan, and Su Jing were all there. Sitting next to them were some inner elders, and the leader of the school, Luo Xinglia, was sitting in the front seat. Leader elders. Yi Chen cupped his hands and bowed. Luo Xinglia nodded. Tomorrow is the time to go to the Heavenly Dream Ancient Region. Before that, I want to tell you that the Heavenly Dream Ancient Region is very complicated. There might be palaces in the mountains, there might be tombs in the water, and there might even be treasures under the ground. There are countless ways to get in. Sometimes a big tree might be the entrance. Sometimes you need to move a huge rock. Sometimes you just need to jump down from the mountain. All in all, anything can happen in there. You have to stay calm and don't panic. Yes. Yi Qin and the other three nodded. Luo Xinglia continued. There are a lot of treasures in the Heavenly Dream ancient region and countless secret manuals. Obviously, we can't ask you to contribute for nothing. Therefore, according to the value of the things you contribute, the school will give you a certain amount of spirit stones. For example, a top-ranked Mortal Realm secret manual can be exchanged for 50 low-ranked spirit stones. A low-ranked Earth Realm secret manual can be exchanged for 3,000 low-ranked spirit stones. A mid-ranked Earth Realm secret manual is extremely rare. Even in the Heavenly Dream ancient region, it can be exchanged for 3,000 mid-ranked spirit stones. The same goes for other treasures and medicines. Of course, if you contribute those secret manuals to the school, you can still cultivate them yourself. But you can't teach them to others. Do you understand? Understood. Although he knew that these things were worth a lot of spirit stones, Yi Chen was still shocked. It seemed like the school was going to spend a lot of money this time. However, the Heavenly Dream ancient region was not a playground. All the disciples from the 9 nations had gone in. So it was normal to kill each other, especially the disciples who had great treasures. They had to be extra careful. Chapter 139. Early the next morning, the group set off. This time the escort team was especially large, consisting of 10 inner elders and 50 outer elders, riding on 8 wind eagles, piercing through the clouds. 3 days later, the wind eagles left the Windy Nation and reached the border of the Windy Nation. Outside the Windy Nation, there are always dangers. Everyone be careful. The head elder activated his Jin Qi and shouted coldly. Yes. Some of the elders who had been to the South Zhuo region understood. The wind eagles were extremely strong and had a strong beast Qi. Carrying 8 people on its back was like carrying nothing, but flying at a supersonic speed. Any human body would feel tired. Normally, after 2 days, the head elder would find a place to rest and continue the journey the next day. Crack! Lightning bolts flashed across the sky like snakes. Above the layer of clouds, the wind vulture was flying calmly. It was a 5th-grade flying beast, and it was only allowed to fly during a thunderstorm. Not to mention that the heaven-shocking sky was over 10,000 meters away from them, and it wouldn't be a big deal if it was struck by some lightning bolts. Lu Hanshan raised his head and looked around, then laughed and said, "It is said that there are 3 layers of the sky. The first layer is called the shocking sky, which contains the 4 extreme yuan qi of thunder, water, fire, and wind. It is extremely violent. Only astral-reaching realm martial artists would be able to go up there. Above that is the second layer, the extreme void. Not even astral-reaching realm martial artists can go up there. Only Sea of Souls realm martial artists can go up there. The top layer is called the top sky, except for life and death realm martial artists. Anyone who goes up there would only be death, even their souls would be destroyed. Absolute sky, extreme sky, top sky." Yi Chen glanced at Su Jing and said, "Sister Su Jing's Golden 3 realm art should be based on these 3 layers of the sky, right?" Su Jing responded blandly, "How can the Golden 3 realm art compare with the 3 layers of the sky? It's just a name. It's far from comparable." Puff! A lightning bolt suddenly struck towards Yi Chen and the others, but was snuffed out by the head elder. He said, "As long as it's not in the absolute sky, these lightning bolts are not that powerful, don't worry. True spirit continent is indeed colorful. There are too many things I don't know." Yi Chen sighed inwardly. In the world he came from, thunder and lightning were horrifying to normal people. Anyone who was struck by a thunder and lightning would basically die. Plus, the thunder and lightning in that world were not even comparable to the thunder and lightning in this world. After all, the natural yuan qi in one world was extremely scarce, while the natural yuan qi in the other world was extremely rich. They were not even on the same level. But right now, a thunder and lightning had been easily destroyed by the headmaster. Below the clouds, It had already begun to rain. Everyone was above the clouds, so there was no need to worry about such things. The wind vulture flew for an unknown period of time, when the airflow in front of it suddenly became chaotic. Visible to the naked eye, a gray wind pillar fell straight down from above. Lightning flashed inside, and the figure in the center could be vaguely seen. Astral reaching, realm warrior. Let's take a detour. The head elder's face suddenly changed. He commanded the windy vulture to take a detour, not daring to move forward directly. The wind pillar dissipated, and the lightning was extinguished. A figure suddenly appeared in front of everyone. It was a middle-aged man with sallow skin. He was of average height, and he wore a large blue robe. His long black hair flickered with electricity. He gave off an oppressive feeling, and no one dared to resist. "Who are you?" The head elder's face turned slightly pale. He cupped his hands and said respectfully, "Sorry for disturbing you, Senior. I am the head elder of the Sky Cloud Martial School in the Windy Nation." Sky Cloud Martial School. The middle-aged man laughed. "So it is the martial school of that old bastard Cloud Dreamer. I am his old friend. You can call me Thunder Freer." Thunder Freer. What a powerful name. Yi Chen thought to himself. The head elder relaxed his face. "So it is you, Senior Thunder Freer. When I was young, I heard from the great elder that you were famous in the South Shore region with your great heavenly thunder magic." Thunder Freer rolled his eyes. That old bastard Cloud Dreamer always likes to exaggerate. What was I tens of years ago? Back then, the Nine Evil cult was like the sun in the sky. I couldn't even escape. Oh, right, you're going to the scorching ancient desert, right? These few brats are not bad. You should train them well. Yi Chen and the other three were the best disciples of the Sky Cloud Martial School. Except for the Emerald Martial Palace, they were not any weaker than the other three top-ranked martial institutions in the Windy Nation. Thunder Freer could see through them at first glance. He couldn't help but nod. "Thank you, Senior. We are indeed going to the scorching ancient desert. The Heavenly Dream Ancient region only opens once every 10 years. It's a rare opportunity." The head elder was quite old, while Thunder Freer looked like he was less than 50 years old. However, when he stood next to Thunder Freer, the head elder looked like a junior. "All right, I need to continue refining my Jinqi. You guys go on your way." Thunder Freer waved his sleeves. His body transformed into a bolt of lightning, shooting straight up into the sky, tearing a hole in the air. Crackle! The inside of the hole was bright and sparkling with thunder and lightning. Just looking at it made one's heart tremble with fear. "Let's go." The head elder took a deep breath and activated the wind eagle under his feet. "On the way," the head elder suddenly said. Although Thunder Freer looks less than 50 years old, he is actually over 100 years old. The reason is very simple. If a martial artist who has stepped into the astral reaching realm doesn't have any problems, he can easily live up to 200 years old. Therefore, his real age is twice as old as his appearance. Is it really that hard to reach the next level? Thunder Freer is already over 100 years old, but he still hasn't reached a higher level. Yi Chen was a bit touched. There are countless martial artists on this true spirit continent. 99% of them are stuck below the clasping yuan realm, and 99% of the rest are stuck below the astral reaching realm. It's extremely hard to reach a higher level. Of course, there are always exceptions, and there are always some extremely powerful martial artists in every generation. For them, reaching a higher level is as easy as eating or drinking water. For example, Xian Ho is the only martial artist who managed to reach the life and death realm in the past 100 years. She is one of the most powerful martial artists in this generation. She became a queen within a few decades. She can even be called a legend. As for those martial geniuses who used to be on the same level as her, although they were not as powerful as her, most of them had already reached the Sea of Souls realm. Zhu Mei, who was wearing a robe embroidered with plum blossoms, laughed and said, "Talent is indeed important, but you also need to have a great adventure. Otherwise, No matter how talented you are, you will never be able to reach the top. Brother Yi, this heavenly dream ancient region is just a chance. If you have a great adventure, you might be able to save yourself many years of training. Yi Chen nodded in agreement. Zhu Mei was right. In order to reach a higher level, you must have a great adventure. In fact, adventures could be categorized as resources. Only with enough resources could you become stronger and stronger. Otherwise, once your potential ran out, you wouldn't be able to reach any higher than ordinary martial artists. In the boundless desert, the sun was shining brightly. The scorching heat had even twisted the air, and the sand was as smooth as a mirror. The scorching ancient desert has existed since the ancient time. The fire power in the air is extremely violent, and storms of fire power are often generated. We shouldn't stay in the clouds. Let's go down. Once they reached the sky above the desert, the head elder ordered the 8 wind eagles to fly down into the clouds. Swoosh, 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 a scorching hot gale blew across. Even though they were protected by their protective Jin Qi, they could still feel the heat. After all, this was only the edge of the scorching ancient desert, where the temperature was less than 1/10 of the central desert. One had to admit that sometimes, if one was unlucky, one could even drink cold water. After the wind eagles had flown for less than 500 miles, a wave of dazzling fiery light descended from the sky, enveloping the group of people. This is a storm of fire power. Let's break it together. The head elder let out a growl, straightened his body, spread his feet as wide as his shoulders, took a deep breath, then poked his finger towards the sky, then drew a line in the air. Puff! A cloth-tearing noise came out, along with which a storm of fire power was cut into 2 by a purple light beam, then scattered in the air. At this moment, the 4th elder didn't dare to move too much. He was a cultivator of fire power, which meant that he might be able to help the storm of fire power. Normally, he would be able to use it to fight against enemies, but right now, if he didn't do anything, the group of people might be turned into grilled meat. The other elders all launched their own attacks, sending out waves of fierce power towards the sky, stopping the storm of fire power from expanding, and gradually destroying it. Yi Chen had also launched a wave of fierce power, but what shocked him was that this wave of fierce power was evaporated before it could even get close to the storm of fire power. After breaking through the storm of fire power, the group of people were soaked in sweat and gasping for breath. The wind eagles down below didn't have a good time either. Some of their feathers had even been burnt, but luckily they weren't hurt. The scorching ancient desert had a radius of 70 to 80,000 miles, much larger than the Windy Nation. It was said that in the ancient time, this desert was even larger, over 500,000 miles in radius. There was only one country in this desert, which was called the Scorching Ancient Empire. However, the empire had been destroyed, and the desert had been shrinking year by year, until it became what it was now. From far away, the group of people had already seen a cyan beam of light piercing through the air, just like a pillar in the sky. The cyan beam of light has appeared. The heavenly dream ancient region will open in 3 days. Let's go find a place to camp first. The head elder had a great eyesight. He had already seen many people approaching the cyan beam of light. After a while, the wind eagles landed. Yi Chen raised his head. The cyan beam of light was as thick as a mountain. It was indeed gigantic, but he didn't know how it was formed. At the place where the cyan beam of light touched the desert, there was a gigantic gate of light. It was 33 zhang tall and 45 zhang wide and was tightly closed. Around the cyan beam of light, thousands of people were stationed. They were all wearing different kinds of clothes. Some were wearing yellow robes, some were wearing black robes, some are wearing blue, some are wearing white, and some are purple. The patterns on their sleeves were different, which meant that they were from different martial institutions. At this moment, the people from the Emerald Martial Palace had already arrived. Among all the forces in the Windy Nation, they were the closest to the scorching ancient desert. Of course, this was only relative. Hundreds of thousands of miles of distance was necessary After all, it was 70 to 80,000 miles from the edge of the desert to the center. 8 disciples from the Emerald Martial Palace had arrived, 3 of whom Yi Qin knew. They were the Emerald Child Zhuang Fei, the Palm Absolute Lu Wuxiang, and Ji Shuyan. Moving his eyes away from the Emerald Martial Palace, Yi Chen's pupils shrank. So many powerful young warriors. Among the hundreds of young disciples from different martial institutions, almost all of them were at the peak of the late condensing reality realm. Over 80% of them were the child-to-be of the Windy Nation, and over 50% were the child level. Among them, tens of them looked as powerful as Lynch. Obviously, they were at the same level as the child North Snow. However, this wasn't enough to surprise Yi Qin. What surprised Yi Qin was that there were quite a lot of clasping Yuan realm young warriors. With a single glance, Yi Qin could already see 7 to 8 of them, and some of them must have not arrived yet. Chapter 140. Lu Hanshan said with a serious face, "Brother Yi, this time we have to be careful when we enter the Heaven Dream ancient region. There are many young, powerful martial artists in the Hidden Dragon ranking this time." Hidden Dragon ranking martial artists? Yi Qin raised his eyebrows. He remembered that Zhuang Fei was ranked 68th in the last Hidden Dragon ranking. But of course, he was only at the peak of the late condensing reality realm back then. Lu Hanshan said, "In the last Hidden Dragon ranking, all the martial artists ranked below the top 50 were at the peak of the late condensing reality realm. The top 50 were at the early clasping Yuan realm. The top 10 were at the peak of the early clasping Yuan realm. And the top 3 were at the mid-clasping Yuan realm. They represent the top young martial artists of the South Shore region, and they are even more powerful than the older generation. Especially the top 3. I heard that they are as powerful as the 5 leaders of our Windy Nation." The top 3 are as powerful as the 5 leaders of our Windy Nation? Not only Yi Qin, even Zhu Mei and Su Jing's expressions changed. They all looked at Lu Hanshan. He was the only one from the Sky Cloud Martial School who had participated in the Hidden Dragon ranking in the last 10 years, although he was eliminated in the end. Lu Hanshan nodded heavily. "You have never watched the Hidden Dragon ranking, so you don't know how powerful they are. The top 10 of the Hidden Dragon ranking are qualified to be called the top martial geniuses of the South Shore region, and the top 3 are already qualified to compete for the title of Peerless Genius. If they have great luck, they might even reach the Sea of Souls realm, or even the Life and Death realm in the future. They are the most powerful generation in the South Shore region in the last 100 years. Are they really that powerful?" Zhu Mei was a nice person, as the head disciple. She didn't act like the head disciple. She just frowned after hearing Lu Hanshan's words. "You won't believe it, even if I tell you now. But you have to know that the top 3 of the Hidden Dragon ranking come from the top 3 countries of the South Shore region. They are all extremely talented and have been training martial arts that are way more powerful than ours. They never lack resources. From these 3 aspects, you can imagine how powerful they are. Compared to them, I am still not powerful enough." Yi Qin let out a breath and asked, "Brother Luo, who are these Hidden Dragon ranking martial artists?" Lu Hanshan glanced at the crowd in the east and said, "The one who is wearing blood-red clothes with golden edges is Mo Wushua, the head disciple of the Evil Blood Martial School. He is 22 this year, and he is ranked 54 in the last Hidden Dragon rank. People call him One Blade, Bloodless. I heard that he has already reached the clasping Luo and has Shan." I said, "Luo and he have reached the Shan." Yi Qin followed Luo Hanshan's line of sight, 700 meters to the east, surrounded by 7 disciples in blood-red robes. A pale-faced young man was especially eye-catching. He was wearing a blood-red robe with golden edges and had a tall and slim body. He looked noble, but also had an evil and murderous aura, which made him look extremely dangerous. "This guy is terrifying." Yi Chen's soul power was amazing, and he was able to distinguish different kinds of auras. With just one glance, he could tell that Mo Wushua was even more powerful than Zhuang Fei. If Zhuang Fei was a tiger that had yet to show its power, then Mo Wuxue would be a giant serpent that had been lying in ambush. Once Mo Wuxue launched his attack, his enemies would be killed. Afraid of being noticed by Mo Wuxue, Luo Hanshan quickly moved his eyes away and looked at the second person in the northeast. This guy is called Yuan Hingying, the head disciple of the Sky Eagle Castle, a rank 7 institution in the Ridra Nation. He is 23 years old, ranked 59 in the last hidden dragon rank. People call him Killer Eagle. He is as powerful as Mo Wuxue, but he is extremely cruel. Mo Wuxue kills for the sake of killing, while Yuan Hingying kills for pleasure. Both of them are murderous monsters. It is said that countless people have died in their hands. This time, Yi Qin immediately found Yuan Hingying. It was not that Yuan Hingying's cultivation was higher than Mo Wuxue's. In fact, he was slightly weaker than Mo Wuxue's. It was just that the murderous aura released from Yuan Hingying's body was way too strong. It meant that the murderous aura released from Yuan Hingying's body was so strong that it couldn't be hidden at all. There was an old saying in the true spirit continent: kill 1,000 enemies and the murderous aura will fill the entire land. It meant that the murderous aura released from Yuan Hingying's body had already spread all over the land. The murderous aura could not only increase one's fighting power, it could also oppress one's opponent mentally. The only disciple from the Sky Cloud Martial School who had completed the 1,000 kill was Meng Chong. His real power was not that much higher than the others, but the murderous aura released from his body had made his blade art even more powerful. Usually, he would be able to kill his enemies with only one blade attack. However, compared to Yuan Hingying, it was like a chicken in front of an eagle. They were not even on the same level. Rubbing his nose, Yi Qin thought to himself, "This is a real murderous monster. He has killed over 10,000 people." However, Mo Wuxue was not bad either. The killing intent released from his body had almost turned into an evil aura. No matter what, he had killed at least 6,000 to 7,000 fresh human lives. Uncontrollably, Yi Qin let out a bitter smile. Up until now, he had killed less than 50 people. Most of them were killed during missions. Yi Qin had been staring at Yuan Hingying for a long time. Yuan Hingying, who was wearing a dark cloak, turned his head and grinned. His white teeth shone with a cold light under the sunlight. Both Lu Hanshan and Zhu Mei let out a muffled moan. Their faces slightly paled. Yuan Hingying's evil aura was way too strong. Even with just a single glance, it would make people feel as if they were looking at a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. People with weak willpower might even spit out a mouthful of blood. Otherwise, the evil aura would accumulate in their bodies and hurt their minds. What was strange was that Su Jing didn't react at all to Yuan Hingying's cold and creepy look. Her face was still as bland as water. As for Yi Qin, he had already mastered the sword intent. As long as he didn't hurt people, it would be impossible for Yuan Hingying to hurt him with the evil aura. Once the sword intent was released, no evil could harm him. It could even cut through the void. Yuan Hingying was a bit surprised. Among the 4 people, only 2 of them were affected by his gaze. The other 2 were completely unaffected. If they were clasping Yuan realm warriors, it would be fine, but these 2 were obviously only at the late condensing reality realm. Hee. Yuan Hingying licked his lips. This kind of person was more interesting to kill. After a while, Lu Hanshan finally calmed himself down. He didn't dare to look at Yuan Hingying anymore. He continued to introduce the other young hidden dragon, ranked martial artist to Yi Qin. Kai Weiao, the head disciple of the Yuehua Martial School, a rank 7 institution in the Ridra Nation. Ranked 64th in the last hidden dragon rank, people call her the Moonlight Phoenix. Her weapon is the Water Moon Thorn. She is good at piercing through enemies with a single point. It is extremely powerful. Lu Zhao, the head disciple of the White Mystery Nation's rank 7 institution, the White Deer Martial School. Ranked 61st in the last hidden dragon rank, people call him the White Colt Fleeting. He is ranked in the top 30 in the last hidden dragon rank. People call him the 1,000 pounds palm. His palm strength is as great as a mountain. People who are weaker than him will be crushed with just one touch. They won't even have the ability to fight back. Han Qianjun, the head disciple of the White Mystery Nation's Rank 7 institution, the Multiple Mountain Martial School, ranked 69th in the last Hidden Dragon rank. People call him the 1,000-pounds palm. His palm strength is as great as a mountain. People call him the 1,000-pounds palm. Shuehen, the head disciple of the Sky Serpent Nation's Rank 7 institution, the Shapeless Martial School, ranked 57th in the last Hidden Dragon rank. People call him the Traceless Hand. This person's killer moves are invisible. Most of the time his opponent is already dead. They still don't know how he did it, therefore. Those who have fought against him are all terrified. After introducing 8 people in one breath, Luo Han's Han finally stopped and said, "There are 3 big countries in the South Shore region, 10 mid-sized countries and 24 small countries. This time, there are a lot of disciples from 9 countries, but there are only 13 people in the Hidden Dragon rank. Rudra Nation, as the leader of the 24 small countries, has 4 people. The White Mystery Nation and the Sky Serpent Nation are not as good as the Rudra Nation. They only have 3 people each. Our Windy Nation's young Master Emerald, Zhuang Fei, has 11 people in total, and the other 5 small countries only have 2 people. But of course, the Hidden Dragon rank was released 1.5 years ago. We don't know how many powerful martial artists have shown up now. Maybe there will be more young, clasping Yuan realm warriors appearing in our sight." The Rudra Nation was not an ordinary country. Since a long time ago, Yi Chen had already known that the Rudra Nation was famous for producing geniuses. As the leader of the 24 small countries, the number of geniuses in the Rudra Nation was even more than the average mid-sized countries. It should be known that a mid-sized country's area was at least 5 times bigger than a small country's. There were countless martial institutions in the country, and the competition was extremely cruel. Zhu Mei nodded and said, "Among the Hidden Dragon rank, the top 3 countries have taken 40%, the top 10 mid-sized countries have taken 30%, and the 24 small countries have taken 30%. Rudra Nation alone has taken nearly 25% of the Hidden Dragon rank. Even among the mid-sized countries, they could still be ranked in the top 4, and they are famous in the whole South Shore region. But none of the young Hidden Dragon rank warriors here seem to be in the top 50. Yi Chen suddenly said. Zhu Mei and Luo Han's Han glanced at Yi Chen with a weird expression. Luo Han's Han forced a smile and said, "Brother Yi, haven't you noticed? 90% of the people who made it into the Hidden Dragon rank are the head disciples of rank 7 martial institutions. There are only 1 or 2 rank 8 martial institutions, and none of the rank 9 martial institutions. And the rank 7 martial institutions are also divided into different levels. The Emerald Martial Palace and the North Snow Martial Academy can only be counted as a normal rank 7 martial institution in the whole South Shore region. The Evil Blood Martial School, Sky Eagle Castle Martial School, and Yuehua Martial School in the Rudra Nation are all mid-sized rank 7 martial institutions. The truly powerful martial institutions are mostly in the mid-sized countries. Therefore, although they do not have an advantage in the number of disciples, the quality of their martial institutions is much better, and they are able to make it into the top 50 of the Hidden Dragon rank. The top 3 countries are even more powerful. Besides the large number of rank 7 martial institutions, there are also rank 6 martial institutions. Without exception, all the top 10 martial institutions are the most talented disciples of those rank 6 martial institutions." Yi Chen said, "So, only the powerful martial institutions can produce the most talented disciples. Even the Rudra Nation is no exception." Indeed, that is the reason. Occasionally, there might be some special cases, but it does not mean anything. It can only mean that they are lucky to have meta-genius. But if this genius joins a powerful martial institution, he might be even more powerful. Lu Han's Han suddenly glanced at Yi Chen. "Actually, you are already half a genius. If you could learn the sword intent, it would not be an exaggeration to say that you are a real genius. Unfortunately, you have not had enough time to learn the sword intent. Otherwise, you might be able to compete with the geniuses on the hidden dragon rank. Hearing him, Zhu Mei glanced at Yi Chen with admiration. Learning the sword intent and blade intent is the dream of many sword artists and blade artists. Even among the top geniuses on the hidden dragon rank, not many of them have learned it. I have to say that you have the potential in this area. Yi Chen smiled. He had already learned the sword intent, but he was not very familiar with it yet. He needed to practice it in battles. Roar! Awoo! Huh! In the sky above the desert, dozens of huge demonic beasts flew over from different directions. There were many human figures on the backs of those beasts. They were obviously people from other martial institutions. The last 2 hidden dragon rank warriors are here as well, Lu Han said slowly. Chapter 141. Shua! Shua! Before the demonic beast landed, 2 young figures had already pounced on it with lightning speed. One of them was burly like a mountain, with a height of more than 2 meters. He was 1 size bigger than Xiao Yi. The other had a feminine aura, his eyes emitting a faint cold light, like a poisonous snake waiting for an opportunity to attack. Lin Yu, the head disciple of a rank 7 martial institution in the Elephant Mountain Nation, the Tiger Dragon Mountain, and Wei Dongxi, the head disciple of a rank 7 martial institution in the Thousand Thread Nation, the Green Bamboo Martial School. These 2 have also reached the Clasping Yuan realm, ranked 70th and 66th in the last hidden dragon rank. Hearing Luo Hanshan's introduction, Yi Chen seemed to be thinking about something. Among the 13 hidden dragon-ranked martial artists, there were 2 who hadn't reached the Clasping Yuan realm yet, but they shouldn't be underestimated. After all, 1.5 years ago, they were already able to enter the hidden dragon ranked with the cultivation of peak-level late condensing reality realm, which meant that they were much more powerful than young Master North Snow and young Master Duanmu, not to mention now, 1.5 years later. In comparison, the child-level power of the Windy Nation's child-level power was a bit lacking. The child-level power was definitely at the bottom. Hee, so many people have come. Many of my old friends. Lin Yu twisted his neck, letting out a series of bone creaking sounds. Wei Dongxi scanned the crowd and sneered. Apart from those old acquaintances on the list, the rest are all trash. I hope they don't run into me, or else I'll kill them without mercy. The murderous aura is still so heavy. However, you have to be careful of Zhuang Fei. During the hidden dragon ranking competition, he took a palm strike from you. This time, he will definitely pay you back, said Lin Yu, fanning the flames. He can barely be considered an opponent. I will satisfy him. Although their voices were not loud, those with good hearing could still hear them. Over at the Emerald Martial Palace, the core disciples were indignant. This person is too arrogant. Could it be that he thinks he can defeat eldest senior brother? Once our head brother breaks through to the Clasping Yuan realm, he will definitely lead the Emerald Martial School to glory. How could he stop him? He has overestimated himself. Zhuang Fei stopped their discussion and said indifferently, "Go in and kill him. Don't talk too much." Yes. The few of them immediately quietened down as if they were worshipping a god. Night fell quickly. The night of the scorching ancient desert was colder than expected. The surface of the sand was even covered with ice, which was as hard as iron. This damned desert. Many disciples who came out to relieve themselves couldn't help but shiver and curse. In the thick tent, Yi Chen was meditating. Right now, his Zhen-Qi cultivation was almost at the peak of the late condensing reality realm. However, he was still not strong enough to reach the peak in one go. In the true spirit continent, the progress of a warrior's cultivation was not the same. Some of them had accumulated a lot of experience and could improve a lot at once. Some of them just blindly followed the others and took it one step at a time. There were also some who tried their best to reach a certain realm, but because they had used up all of their accumulated experience, they had to stay in that realm for a very long time. Currently, Yi Chen belonged to the second type, which was to cultivate step by step and be down to earth. It was not that he did not want to choose the first type, but he simply did not have the time to accumulate his foundation. His actual cultivation time was less than 2 years, so how could he compare with others? As for the third type, the drawbacks were too great and very few people would choose it. The advantage of taking things one step at a time was that he could grasp his current strength faster and unleash 100% of his strength to its peak without any wastage. It was a silent night. It was already noon of the second day. More people from different martial institutions had arrived, including the Purple Sun Martial School, North Snow Martial Academy, and South Rudra Martial School from the Windy Nation. And, of course, the only rank 9 family in the Windy Nation, the Duanmu family. So many powerful martial artists. Ouyang Lai and the others gasped in shock. They immediately stopped being so arrogant. Casually glancing at them, Yi Chun was a bit surprised. Yuan Xuemei was also here, but she was not even in the top 6 of the South Rudra Martial School. Of course, she was indeed very talented. Maybe the leader of the South Rudra Martial School wanted her to find some opportunities because of this. Another group of people who want to die. Yuan Hinging and Emo Wushua sneered. The third day, a red sun rose from the east, dyeing the scorching ancient desert red. The Heavenly Dream Ancient Region will open in half an hour. You guys hand over your storage rings to me. The head elder gathered the 4 people and said. Luo Hans Han was surprised. Head elder, why? The head elder laughed and said, It's my fault for not thinking about it before. The Heavenly Dream Ancient Region is located in a space crack. It has its own small world, but it is different from the world we are in. The Heavenly Dream Ancient Region rejects all external space. Even storage rings with space crystals would be strongly rejected. Once a martial artist steps into the Heavenly Dream Ancient Region, the storage rings would be crushed by the powerful space power. So that's how it is. The 4 people understood. They took off their storage rings one by one and handed them to the head elder. Putting away the storage rings, the head elder said, Don't worry, the storage rings are your personal belongings. Without your permission, we won't check them. That's great. Yi Chun was really afraid that the head elder would check his storage rings. In his storage rings, there were over 10,000 low-rank soul stones, a low-rank great blade, and a mid-rank storage ring. He didn't know how rare and precious a mid-rank storage ring was, but he had never seen an inner elder wearing a mid-rank storage ring. Yi Chun let out a bitter smile. Maybe I'm just a petty person. Would the head elder be greedy for my mid-rank storage ring? Not likely. Of course, Yi Chun wasn't ashamed of this. His motto in life was to be extra careful, extra cautious. If he didn't make it a habit today, it might lead to a disaster in the future. Sometimes, even if he trusted the other party, he shouldn't expose himself completely. The mountain-thick cyan light was getting brighter and brighter. That illusory light gate was no longer illusory. It looked like it was made of crystal and contained within the cyan light. Half an hour passed in a blink of an eye. Aang! The light gate slowly opened, and a loud and clear sound shook people's hearts. The head elder let out a long breath and said in a serious tone, Everyone go in. Remember, no matter where you are teleported to, stay calm, don't panic. Yes, the 4 of them were about to step into the gate. Swoosh! Ha! The Heavenly Dream Ancient Region is controlled by your institutions. Why can't we go in? Today no one can stop me. Sand and dust rose into the air. 2 human silhouettes flew towards the light gate at an extremely high speed, almost reaching the speed of sound, letting out a loud swishing sound. 2 mid-clasping Yuan realm martial artists. Yi Chun stopped walking. He was shocked. He didn't know where these 2 people came from. How could they hide under everyone's nose? Strangely, none of the elders from the institutions tried to stop them. Some of them shook their heads regretfully, but most of them sneered. Puff! Puff! Something amazing happened. The 2 of them were like moths flying into a flame. They were burned into ashes by the cyan light, not even leaving a trace, including the storage rings on their fingers. Stupid! If anyone could go in, how could you two get in? All the powerful martial artists from the institutions would have gone in already. The rules of the Heavenly Dream Ancient Region are very strange. Only people with a bone age of less than 24 can go in safely. Even life and death realm martial artists can't change their bone age. Through his soul power, Yi Chan sensed that a lot of people were discussing among themselves. No wonder they didn't stop him, they already knew the truth. However, it was easy to understand. The Heavenly Dream Ancient Region had been revealed for a long time. All the top martial institutions must have done a thorough research on it. Otherwise, they wouldn't be so bold as to let their most talented disciples enter it to collect wealth for them. I'll go in first. The head disciple of the evil blood martial school, Mo Wushue, moved his body, transformed into a beam of blood-red light, and darted into the light gate, disappearing completely. Almost at the same time, the other hidden dragon martial school's powerful martial artists followed closely behind. Their extremely fast-moving silhouettes were dragging different colored streams of Zhen Qi behind them. It was quite a beautiful scene. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. In the next moment, over 600 disciples rushed towards the light gate like a swarm of locusts. Some of them even started fighting against each other on the way. Let's go in as well. Seeing that most of the disciples had left, Lu Hanshan couldn't wait any longer. He leapt into the light gate. What a magnificent scene! It was the first time for Yi Qin to see so many powerful young martial artists gathered in one place. He slightly sighed, shook his head, and followed Su Jing into the light gate, neither too fast nor too slow. Ouyang Lai, Ouyang Ming, you too remember, if you meet any Sky Cloud Martial School's disciples, kill them if you can. Don't show any mercy. If the situation allows, you can join hands with people from other institutions and find a chance to assassinate them, especially that kid named Yi Qin. The Purple Sun Martial School's elder sent a message to Ouyang Lai and Ouyang Ming through his Zhen Qi. A vicious light flashed across Ouyang Ming's eyes. He responded with his Zhen Qi. Elder, don't worry. Even if you don't remind me, I will still kill all 4 of the Sky Cloud Martial School's disciples. As for that Yi Qin, although he might be a bit troublesome, he won't be a problem for me. He will eventually have to fight against someone else. Indeed, that's exactly what I meant. The Purple Sun Martial School's elder grinned evilly. Ouyang Lai said without any hesitation, as long as I am here, the 4 of them won't be able to come out alive. Then I will leave it to you. Shoo! Shoo! The 2 of them entered the light gate with an ulterior motive. The other 4 Purple Sun Martial School's disciples followed them. On the Sky Cloud Martial School side, the 4th elder noticed the subtle scene. He used his Zhen Qi to send a message to the head elder. Those bastards from the Purple Sun Martial School won't play any tricks, will they? The head elder said, once they enter the Heavenly Dream Ancient Region, their lives will be in their own hands. We have to believe that they will be able to come out alive, and it would also be good if they can kill those Purple Sun Martial School's disciples. Luo Hanshan and Su Jing are both cruel and merciless. Zhu Mei is still a bit soft. As for Yi Qin, I can't see through him. I don't know if he will leave any of them alive. Don't underestimate Yi Qin. He can be more cruel than anyone else in a critical moment. Once he entered the light gate, Yi Chan felt that the space around him was twisting. He couldn't see anything. He couldn't sense anything. He had become blind. After that, his body became as light as a feather, as if he was teleporting from a long distance. His speed was incredibly fast. After an unknown period of time, Yi Qin appeared in a huge swamp area, surrounded by swamps that were bubbling with gray bubbles and strange-looking trees. Occasionally, a hissing sound could be heard. Chapter 142. Golden Top Silver Snake Plant. Looking around, Yi Qin fixed his eyes on a gray lump of soil 10 meters away. In the middle of the lump of soil, a small plant with silver scales all over its body was standing there. There was even a trace of golden light on top of the plant, emitting a fine light. This plant is worth 50,000 gold. It is extremely rare. I can't believe I can see it here. Yi Qin was a bit surprised. One plant was worth 50,000 gold. It was definitely a sky-high price. If it was made into a protective pellet, it would be worth at least 500,000 gold. Even clasping Yuan realm warriors would fight for it. Without any hesitation, Yi Chan waved his hand. The golden-top silver snake plant automatically came out of the soil and flew into his hand. However, before he could take a closer look, the lump of soil suddenly rose up, 2 openings appeared on both sides, and a cold light gathered together, locking onto him. This was not a lump of soil at all. It was obviously a demonic beast that looked like a crocodile. Splash! The crocodile broke out of the water, its 10 meters huge body carrying a strong corrosive demonic chi jumped towards Yi Qin. It opened its huge mouth full of sharp teeth. Yi Qin did not panic as he threw a punch at the crocodile beast's mouth. Clang! Tens of thousands of pounds of strength combined with Persian chi. It only made the crocodile fly back a few steps. Not even a slight wound appeared on it. Die! After the first punch failed, Yi Chen's clothes fluttered in the wind. He punched the crocodile's abdomen again. Swoosh! This punch was not only extremely heavy, it also contained an unbreakable sharpness. It instantly pierced through the crocodile's body. Its blood dyed the swamp red. Taking out a black bag with golden threads, Yi Qin dug out the crocodile's pellet and threw it into the bag along with the jade box containing the golden top silver snake plant. Tying the bag tightly around his waist, Yi Chen's body flashed. He headed deeper into the swamp. Not long after, danger appeared again. From the big trees on both sides of the swamp, dozens of snake-like birds with wings flew out. The strange birds let out hissing sounds, attacking towards Yi Qin from all directions. Rule the world. With a punch, an umbrella-shaped black light shrouded Yi Chen's figure. The terrifying strange birds seemed to have crashed into an invisible wall and were all bounced back. They were twisted by the force of the punch. Blood flowed from the corners of their mouths, and their wings were broken. They fell into the swamp like rain and gradually sank. The Heavenly Dream Ancient region is an ancient inheritance ground. The environment inside has been preserved from the ancient times, and the beasts inside are also ancient beasts. Each and every one of them is incredibly powerful. According to the strength of the demonic chi, Yi Qin could easily tell that the crocodile was a level 4 demonic beast, and the horrifying bird was a level 3 demonic beast. However, compared to the demonic beasts outside, the demonic beasts here were at least 30% stronger. Their defense was exceptionally strong, and even a simple tyrant fist could not kill them. Yi Qin had no idea how vast the swamp was. He had been walking for half an hour, but he still hadn't seen the edge of the swamp. Along the way, countless demonic beasts had tried to attack him. Just a while ago, a calf-sized snail had spat out a mouthful of sticky liquid towards him. This sticky liquid was not only extremely sticky, but also contained a poisonous gas. If Yi Chun hadn't reacted fast enough and held his breath while dodging it, he would have been poisoned. At last, this snail was beheaded by Yi Qin with a single sword attack. That was the first time he had used his sword in the swamp. One could easily imagine how powerful that snail was. Stepping on a branch, Yi Chun stopped, leaning forward, and turned his head, looking at the scorched ground tens of meters away from him. A broken stone monument stood on the ground. The words carved on it had already been blurred. In front of the monument, an iron stick was stuck into the ground. Only the back half of the stick, which was about a meter long, was exposed. H.M. Yi Chen's eyes lit up. The iron stick was emitting a faintly discernible spirit chi. He was sure that a normal weapon wouldn't have such an effect. Could it be a brilliant weapon? Although he liked swords, it didn't mean that he would ignore other brilliant weapons. In the market, a low-rank brilliant weapon was worth at least 1,000,000 gold taels. A slightly better one could be sold for 2 to 3 million gold taels. A low-rank brilliant weapon, like the air splitter blade, could even be sold for 4 to 5 million gold taels. Using the crane shadow steps, Yi Chen's figure disappeared from the branch. When he reappeared, he was already standing in front of the broken stone monument. Reaching out his hand to grab the iron stick, Yi Chen pulled it out with all his might. Boom! A scarlet-red flame soared into the sky, burning the big trees on the side into ashes. This was not an iron stick, but a pitch-black iron spear. It was 2 meters long, and the body of the spear had a mysterious spiral pattern. The edge of the spear was quadrangular, and there were grooves between the edges. At first glance, one would think that there was a spiral flame burning on the tip of the iron stick. It looked natural. A low-rank great spear, good stuff. Yi Chen could feel that there was a burning qi flowing in the iron spear. As long as he slightly pushed his Zhen qi, this burning qi would burst out and kill his enemies. However, compared to the tiger head great blade in his storage ring and Lynch's air splitter blade, it was slightly weaker. Great weapons were called brilliant weapons because they came with their own power. For example, the tiger head great blade contained blade qi, which could be used by mortal realm warriors. As for Lynch's air splitter blade, it was probably the same. This low-rank great spear contained the power of fire, which was undoubtedly the best weapon for those who trained in fire Zhen qi. Holding the iron spear, Yi Chen frowned. Such a huge iron spear, where should he keep it? He couldn't just hold it in his hand all the time. It was so inconvenient to not have a storage ring. Yi Chen shook his head and forced a smile. Thousands of meters away, 4 or 5 disciples from different martial institutions saw the flame in front of them. Their eyes lit up, and they rushed over without hesitation. Someone is coming. Yi Chen, who was about to leave, froze. After a dozen breaths, 5 disciples from different martial institutions appeared around him. They were all from different martial institutions from different countries. Each of them was staring at the low, rank, great spear in his hand. The greed in their eyes was self-evident. Brat, put down the spear. Cut off one of your arms, and I will spare your life. Such a treasure, how could you get it? You asked for it. The 5 of them slowly approached, trying to get the low-rank great spear first. Yi Chen sneered. These 5 people were all peak-level late, condensing reality, realm warriors. Judging from their qi, 3 of them were child-level warriors, and the other 2 were child-level warriors. If you want the great spear, you will have to die first. There was no killing intent, no evil qi. Yi Chen had a sharp spirit, an unbreakable sharp spirit. You are looking for death. The disciple closest to Yi Chen made his move. He raised his hand and threw out a palm attack. A millstone-sized Jin, qi palm pressed towards Yi Chen. These were not worthy of his sword attack. Yi Chen held the iron spear and stabbed it out. Whoosh! The red flame burned through the Zhen qi palm and hit his neck. Pap! His head flew out, and the place where it was cut off was burnt black. He has a low-rank great spear. Let's attack together. The other 4 were startled and shouted, trying to put on a brave front. You are asking for death. He threw out a back spear attack. Layers of spear shadows appeared like a mountain range. It was Yi Chen's lone peak of 13 swords, using the mountain range sword art. The martial disciple who attacked from behind had not even gotten close to Yi Chen, but already had dozens of burnt holes on his body. The fatal one was on his forehead, and half of his skull had been blown off. After killing a martial disciple with 1 spear attack, Yi Chen did not even take a breath. He swung his spear horizontally, and the red flame exploded, landing on the left side of the other martial disciple's waist. Crack! That martial disciple's body was cut in half and fell into the swamp. Run! This guy is not a normal late, condensing reality, realm warrior. At this moment, the remaining 2 people finally understood that Yi Chen was not someone they could mess with. Normally, a warrior with a low-rank great weapon would be able to fight against 2 people at most, and that would be the limit. It would be impossible to kill 3 people at once, and that would only be possible if one's own fighting power was equally powerful. But it was too late to run now. One of them was too slow, and his head was blown off by Yi Qin. The other one was already hundreds of meters away. Before he could even feel lucky, he felt a burning sensation in his chest. He looked down and saw that the spear had pierced through his chest, nailing him to a big tree. The big tree was burning, and the fire spread everywhere. Walking over and pulling out the iron spear, Yi Qin thought to himself, "To me, child-level power is not enough anymore. You can only blame your bad luck." Instead of leaving immediately, Yi Qin suddenly turned around. "It's time to show yourself. Friend." Shoo! A human silhouette jumped out and landed on a rock in the middle of the swamp. "Not bad. With a low-rank great spear, you managed to kill 5 disciples from other martial institutions at the same level. If possible, I don't want to kill you, but you have to cut off one of your own arms. As for the great spear, it will be my Qiu Heng's trophy. What do you think?" The young man was about 21 or 22 years old. He had thick eyebrows, big eyes, and a strong evil vibe coming from his body. A poisonous snake next to him had just shown its head, but it was immediately kicked in half by him, killing a rank 3 ancient beast in a second. He was very powerful. Yi Qin could tell that his opponent was not simple. In the Heavenly Dream ancient region, a rank 3 ancient beast's defense was extremely strong. Even his tyrant fist could not kill it instantly, but his opponent was able to kill it so easily. If he was not mistaken, this person's power was close to the last hidden dragon rank warriors. If it were before, Yi Qin would not have the confidence to win against him. But now things were different. The young man sneered, "In the last hidden dragon rank, I was ranked 75. Unfortunately, I was only in the top 72. But if you compare me to a normal peak level late condensing reality realm warrior, you will die a horrible death. I can kill a bunch of those people easily. Do you want to live or die? Make your choice." Clang! The iron spear stabbed into the ground. Yi Qin pulled out the hidden cloud sword and said, "I will kill you with one sword attack." "Ah, why are there so many people who want to die?" "Don't worry, I won't let you die right away. I will tear off your limbs and stick them on a tree." While saying those creepy words, Qiu Heng's right foot lightly tapped on the rock. Puff! The rock exploded, and he had already jumped towards Yi Qin. While he was still in the air, his sharp leg power had already cut a few big trees near Yi Qin in half. The cut was as smooth as a mirror, as if it had been carefully polished. Compared to him, Shirpatian and the others were not even on the same level. This Qiu Heng was unbelievably powerful. One sword attack. Yi Qin did not react at all. He slightly shook his head and casually threw out a sword attack. "What's going on? I can see my back with my head." Qiu Heng felt that his body was moving further and further away. He could see his back, but his target had already put his sword back into its scabbard and turned around. That strange feeling made him panic. Chapter 143. His death was too fast, maybe even in the end. Qiu Heng didn't know how he died. However, this had nothing to do with Yi Qin. He was only responsible for killing people. With a great sword hanging on his waist and an iron spear in his hand, Yi Qin lightly touched the ground and flew up to the top of a tree like a wisp of smoke. Then he flashed and disappeared. Squeak! Once Yi Qin left, countless bugs crawled out of the swamp and devoured Qiu Heng's body and head. Not even his bones were left. Not only was there a massacre happening in the swamp where Yi Qin was, but there were also massacres happening in other places. In the middle of a mountain range, the smell of blood was everywhere. Run. It's one bloodless blade. Mo Wushiwe. What? It's Mo Wushiwe. We're dead. We're all dead. Outside the simple and magnificent cave, 6 to 7 sect disciples were wailing like ghosts and howling like wolves as they flew out. Some of them were even using incomplete cultivation methods just to increase their speed a little. There were also some people who were carrying explosive pellets with them to save their lives and threw them behind them. Since you're already here, Why are you in such a hurry to leave? Emo Wushiwe, who was wearing a blood-red robe with golden edges, walked out of the cave. He laughed evilly. Holding the blood-red, thin blade in his hand, he swung it sideways. There was no obvious blade light or blade chi, only an arc-shaped line of blood. Silently, the heads of those people who were running away were cut off. There was no blood coming out of the wounds. It was as if the heads were sealed inside their bodies by an invisible force. It was extremely strange. One bloodless blade, killing people without spilling blood. This was the power of the head disciple of the evil blood martial school, the 54th ranked disciple of the last hidden dragon rank. At the same time, in another place, beside the lake, Yuan Heng glanced at the people who wanted to run but didn't dare to, and said cruelly, "Apart from the Sky Eagle Castle's disciples, anyone who runs into me, Yuan Heng has only one choice, death." Hearing this, these people's faces turned pale. They had found a fish dragon plant that was worth 70,000 gold by the side of the lake. When they were fighting against each other, they had actually attracted the attention of the most bloodthirsty Yuan Heng. Yuan Heng was known as the Killer Eagle. He had never left anyone alive. In terms of notoriety, he was even more notorious than Emo Wushiwe. At least, Emo Wushiwe killed for the sake of killing. As long as they didn't provoke him, they would have a high chance of surviving. However, Yuan Heng was unpredictable. He would kill people when he was in a good mood. He would kill people when he was in a bad mood. He would kill people when he was in a good mood. Even if he was in a good mood, he would still kill people when he was in a good mood. Clearly, the current Killer Eagle was normal, which meant that he could kill people. However, I've changed my mind. I'll give you the time of 3 breaths. Whoever can escape from my attack will be spared. Yuan Heng really liked this kind of atmosphere. He was in control of other people's life and death. If he wanted them to live, he would live. If he wanted them to die, he would die. He had done this many times before. 3 breaths, escape from my attack. Everyone's eyes brightened. Most of them were at the peak of the late condensing reality realm. It was not a problem for them to fly 100 meters in 1 breath. Some of the faster ones could even reach 200 meters. If they ran as fast as they could in 3 breaths, they might be able to survive from Yuan Heng. What? Why are you still not running? Maybe I will change my mind soon. Yuan Heng licked his lips. A hideous look flashed through his eyes. Run! Under the pressure of death, everyone pushed their Zhen Qi to its limit. They flew out at a speed that was way faster than before, scattering in all directions. Within 1 breath, the slowest person was already 100 meters away. Within 2 breaths, the slowest person was already 250 meters away. Within 3 breaths, the fastest person was already 1 mile away. Eagle's soul splitting. Yuan Heng yelled. He put both of his hands in front of his chest and pushed them out. Shoo! 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 The dark cyan Jin Qi condensed into numerous huge Jin Qi eagles. With Yuan Heng as the starting point, they spread out in all directions like lightning. Ah! A scream was heard. The slowest martial disciple's head was ripped apart by the claws of a huge Jin Qi eagle. His body slid out for 10 meters, and he was no longer breathing. Then the second martial disciple, the third, the fourth, only 1 person was left, and he had already run for almost 1,000 meters. Not bad, you managed to run that far. But it is not that easy to escape from 1 attack. Eagle combination, eagle sky attack. All of the Zhen Qi eagles combined into 1, forming a super huge eagle. The super huge eagle flapped its wings, and 2 dark cyan Qi blades flew out. Right then, that martial disciple seemed to feel death approaching. He took out a dark red iron bomb from his pocket. It was called the red light firebomb, which was as famous as the silver light thunderbolt bomb. It could kill a peak-level early clasping Yuan realm warrior. But of course, he did not dare to attack Yuan Heng. Instead, he threw the bomb towards the chi blades behind him and yelled, "Explode!" Boom! A bright red light exploded, and the two chi blades were shattered immediately. I dodged one attack. His face was filled with excitement, and his mind and body suddenly relaxed. Swoosh! All of a sudden, another chi blade flew out and cut off his head. This martial disciple died with his eyes wide open. Yuan Heng-ing lightly landed in front of the martial disciple and said casually, "I told you anyone who runs into me, Yuan Heng-ing, can only die. I will not make an exception. 3 breaths was just a joke. Don't take it seriously." Waving his hand, 3 red light fire bombs flew out of the martial disciple's pocket and landed in Yuan Heng-ing's hand. He sneered and flashed out. The swamp area was extremely dangerous, and sometimes it was not a good thing to be too fast. Just now, Yi Chun had suffered a great loss and had to slow down his speed to about 60 to 70%, saving some energy for himself. Piercing through a demonic bird that had sneakily attacked from the sky, Yi Chen stood on top of a huge tree. Looking into the distance, there was nothing in front of him, and nothing in front of him. Is this the end? Yi Chen frowned. Without any hesitation, he moved his body forward and moved as light as a swallow. This place was a dark cliff, and inside the cliff was a swamp area. Outside the cliff, there was nothing but nothingness, as if it was blocked by a great barrier that no one could see through. Thinking about what the leader Luo Xinglia had said before, the Heavenly Dream Ancient Region was extremely mysterious, and that the entrance of the treasury could be in the mountains, under the water, or even just by jumping down, Yi Chun hesitated for a second, then jumped down from the cliff. He had learned the crane shadow steps art, which allowed him to fly for a long distance. If anything happened, he could come back any time he wanted. But if he didn't try, there was no other way to go, and the only way left was to turn back, which would undoubtedly waste a lot of time and energy. In the Heavenly Dream Ancient Region, time was money. After falling for about 500 meters, Yi Chen felt that the bottom of the cliff was still immeasurably deep. Clouds were rolling in the air, and he suddenly wanted to go back. But right at this moment, the space underneath vibrated intensely and formed into a 10 meters wide whirlpool, sucking Yi Chen in. Pop! Yi Chen let out a sigh of relief as his feet landed on the ground. Just like what the leader had said, the entrance of the treasury was everywhere. It all depended on whether you had the guts or not. If he didn't jump down just now, he would have lost a great opportunity. Letting out a deep breath, Yi Chen finally had the mood to observe the surroundings. Looking around, he found that his surroundings were very dark. He was in a stone corridor. On the walls on both sides of the corridor, there was a small protruding stone platform every 100 meters. In the center of the small stone platform, there were candles as thick as a child's arm. The faint light from the candles flickered brightly and dimly. Thanks to the sword intent, Yi Chen wasn't scared by the dark environment. He started walking deeper into the corridor. After walking for a few 100 meters, a side road appeared on the right side of the corridor, and he could vaguely hear people talking. Looks like I'm not the only one here. Yi Chen thought for a while, then quietly walked into the side road. At the end of the side road, there was a luxurious ancient hall. The crystal lamp on the ceiling of the hall never went out, emitting a soft and bright light, which brought a sense of security to the dark environment. Yi Chen looked down. There were 3 doors on the side of the hall, and each door was carved with different things. Right now, a group of disciples were fighting each other, trying to get into the hall first. My head disciple is Xue Hen, ranked 57th in the Hidden Dragon rank. Anyone who offends us, the invisible martial school, will die. Get the hell out of here. Ha! I am a disciple of the White Deer Cave, and my head disciple is Lu Zhao. The rest of you, get out of here. In the Heavenly Dream Ancient Region, life and death are all up to fate. If I kill you, who will know who killed you? Don't be stupid, die. Sounds of chi explosions came one after another. Even the crystal lamp on the ceiling of the hall started shaking, as if it was going to fall off at any second. Yi Chen was planning to sit on top of the mountain and watch the tigers fight, but he suddenly heard footsteps coming from behind him. They were not far away from here. If it was a normal martial disciple, he wouldn't care, he could just kill them. But this person's footsteps seemed to contain some kind of magical power. Each step seemed to contain a mountain-like power, but it gave off an oppressive feeling as if a storm was coming. Early clasping Yuan realm warrior. With this thought flashing across his mind, Yi Chen stepped out of the side road and came into the hall. Shoo! The fight paused for a second, and everyone's attention was on Yi Chen. Seeing the cloud patterns on Yi Chen's sleeves, a lot of people grinned viciously. Windy Nation's Sky Cloud Martial School, a disciple from a rank 9 martial institution. How dare he come here? He really doesn't know how to spell the word death. I have never killed a disciple from the Sky Cloud Martial School, but I have killed a disciple from the North Snow Martial Academy. It was so easy. I wonder how these people train themselves. Let's kill him first. That's right. These people had been fighting for a long time, but couldn't find a winner in a short time. Seeing Yi Chen show up, they immediately walked towards him with evil intentions, as if they were looking at a dead man. Yi Chen sneered, a bunch of reckless people. If it weren't for the fact that there was someone in the side road, I would have killed them already. Now I should just wait and see. Die. Before these people could attack first, a huge Zhenqi fist suddenly swooshed out from the side road. The Zhenqi fist was extremely condensed. It was as huge as a mountain, piercing through the entire hall at an amazing speed. Bang, 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 bang. Almost half of the people were killed by the power of the fist. Their bodies were sent flying in the air. The Zhenqi fist's power didn't fade away. It even broke a thick pillar in the hall. Chapter 144. Such a strong fist power. Yi Chen raised his eyebrows. All of the people in the hall were either at the child level or child level, but they couldn't even take a single punch, and half of them were either killed or wounded. Ah, a hidden dragon ranking martial artist is here. His fist power is as strong as a mountain. He is Lin Yu, ranked 70th in the hidden dragon ranking. Run. Every 10 years, more than 60% of the disciples in the Heavenly Dream Ancient region were killed by hidden dragon ranking martial artists, and only a small part of them died in the hunt of ancient demonic beasts. In the eyes of these disciples, every hidden dragon ranking martial artist was a killer. They had to run as fast as they could, otherwise they would definitely die. No one knew who took the lead, but all of the surviving disciples fled in all directions. Soon, only Yi Chen and 7 or 8 corpses were left in the hall. Tap, tap, the sound of footsteps grew clearer and clearer. A sturdy figure slowly appeared in Yi Chen's sight. He was over 2 meters tall and as sturdy as a mountain. He was Lin Yu, the head disciple of the Dragon Tiger Martial School, a rank 7 institution in the Elephant Mountain country, and was ranked 70th in the last hidden dragon ranking. Lin Yu glanced at the corpses on the ground, then turned to Yi Chen and said with a slight surprise, "Why didn't you run?" In his eyes, Yi Chen was only a late, condensing reality realm martial artist. He hadn't even reached the peak of the late, condensing reality realm. Although those who could enter the Heavenly Dream Ancient region were all outstanding martial artists from their institutions, they were still not strong enough. With his early clasping Yuan realm cultivation, who would care about a late condensing reality realm martial artist? Yi Chen gave a faint smile and said, "I'm also interested in the treasures in there. Why should I run?" "Oh, it seems like you're quite confident. But too bad, those who are not powerful enough and overconfident usually die early. They will never be able to make a name for themselves." Lin Yu held his hands behind his back. He didn't take Yi Chen seriously at all. He wasn't afraid that Yi Chen would launch a sneak attack on him. "Why don't you try?" Yi Chen knew that no matter how much he said, he had to prove himself with his own power. Otherwise, Lin Yu would only treat him as a pushover. A strange look flashed across Lin Yu's eyes. Yi Chen clearly knew that Lin Yu was a martial artist ranked in the hidden dragon ranking, but he was still so confident. Lin Yu couldn't understand where Yi Qin got his confidence from. Did he really think that he could fight against Lin Yu? The latter possibility was very small. How could the other party's sect let a hot-headed person enter? Wasn't that sending him to his death? Thinking of this, Lin Yu laughed out loud. Good, you've got guts. If you can take a punch from me, I, Lin Yu, will never embarrass you again. One punch. I'll take it. Yi Qin didn't intend to fight head-on with the other party because he wasn't confident that he could kill the other party. Of course, the other party wouldn't be able to kill him either. Clang! As soon as the hidden cloud sword was unsheathed, Yi Qin's aura changed. An astonishing sharpness gathered, condensed, sublimated, and transformed. His whole body was like a divine sword that was about to be unsheathed, piercing through the void. What a sharp sword aura. No, there seems to be a hint of sword intent. Could it be that this person has already comprehended sword intent? Lin Yu didn't really believe that Yi Qin had already comprehended sword intent. He thought that it was some kind of change brought about by the special sword art he had been practicing. Therefore, he let out a great shout and launched a punch. Break! The mountain-heavy punch hadn't even hit the ground yet, but the ground had already cracked and collapsed. The surrounding walls let out a series of creaking noises and then broke into pieces. This punch was powerful enough to kill an ordinary early clasping Yuan realm martial artist and break a 100-meter-tall hill. Yi Qin's hair and clothes fluttered in the air, as if he would be blown away and shattered by the punch at any moment. His eyes were sharp, and he launched the hidden cloud sword. Puff! A thin sword mark appeared in the air, extending straight towards the punch. At that moment, all the crystal lamps in the hall seemed to have lost their colors, and the only thing left in the hall was that sword mark. Pop! Pop! The sound of the explosion resounded for hundreds of times, and the frequency of the explosion was so high that it could even penetrate people's eardrums. After that, the two of them were both sent flying backwards. Sword intent, it's really the sword intent. Lin Yu steadied his body, and his face was filled with amazement. While he was still flying backwards, Yi Qin had already skillfully sheathed his sword, lightly landed on the ground, raised his head and said, "Thank you for letting me win." Lin Yu responded, "I'm a man of my word. I won't embarrass you anymore. But don't think that you can do whatever you want with only the sword intent." In the last Hidden Dragon ranking competition, there were a few disciples who had comprehended the sword intent, but none of them were invincible. Of course I know that. Yi Qin wasn't stupid enough to think that the sword intent was everything, and that he could easily kill Lin Yu. There were 3,000 great Daos, and the sword intent was only one of them, and the sword intent was only a sublimation of the sword art. It didn't mean that Yi Qin was qualified to look down upon the whole world. After all those powerful martial artists were extremely powerful, and none of them could surpass their own cultivation levels. Patter, patter, patter! Yi Qin and Lin Yu didn't intend to continue the fight. Just when they were about to open 2 of the 3 doors, they heard faint footsteps coming from the other side of the door. The footsteps were very rhythmic, from the beginning to the end, and then to the beginning again, the same time, as if the footsteps were both intentional and natural. If one had to describe it with one word, it would be copy. Indeed, only copy could perfectly explain the rhythm of the footsteps. Although they hadn't seen the person yet, both Yi Qin and Lin Yu's expressions changed. This guy is very powerful, and his footsteps seem familiar. Lin Yu knitted his eyebrows, trying his best to recall. In the next moment, Lin Yu exclaimed in a low voice, "It's the young master devil, Yin Wuqing." The young master devil, Yin Wuqing. Soon, information about Yin Wuqing emerged in Yi Qin's mind. Yin Wuqing was the head disciple of the Sky Serpent Nation's Rank 7 institution, the Brute Devil Martial School, ranked 45th in the last Hidden Dragon ranking. Among the 13 Hidden Dragon-ranked martial artists from the 9 nations, he was one of the 2 who hadn't reached the clasping Yuan realm yet. I thought this guy hasn't reached the clasping yuan realm yet. Yi Qin had been wondering about this for a long time. Luo Hanshan had told him that the top 50 of the Hidden Dragon ranking were all clasping yuan realm martial artists. But how did Yin Wuqing manage to get into the top 50? Lin Yu asked confusedly, "Haven't you heard about the young master devil, Yin Wuqing? Even early clasping yuan realm martial artists are afraid of him. Even the Bloodless Blade, Mo Wuxiwe, and the Killing Eagle wouldn't dare to confront him face to face." Yi Qin shook his head. He had just reached the clasping yuan realm not long ago, so he didn't know much about the outside world. Perhaps the 4 young masters of the Windy Nation would know more about him. The Brute Devil Martial School is the same as the Evil Blood Martial School. They're both evil martial institutions. Their disciples practice evil martial arts, and the martial art that Yin Wuqing practices is even more special. It's called the Earth Devil Body Refining Art. It focuses on the cultivation of the body, making the body as tough as iron, impervious to all kinds of weapons, and impervious to fire and water. Apart from this, the progress of the martial artist who practices this martial art will be very slow. But with every step, the martial artist's power will rise at an incredible speed. With this Earth Devil Body Refining Art, Yin Wuqing managed to defeat a few early clasping yuan realm martial artists in the Hidden Dragon ranking, and won the 45th place. Although we've all reached the clasping yuan realm now, no one dares to underestimate him. Yi Qin asked, "May I know the rank of this Earth Devil Body Refining Art?" Lin Yu responded, "I heard it's a mid-rank Earth realm martial art." A mid-rank Earth realm martial art. No wonder, it's even a rank higher than my pure jade body-boosting spell. It seems that the martial art that our leader Luo Xinglia practices is only a mid-rank Earth realm martial art. Yi Qin thought. The footsteps stopped, and a young man's silhouette appeared in their line of sight. The young man was neither too tall nor too short. He was tall and slim, and even looked a bit scrawny. However, in Yi Qin and Lin Yu's eyes, this young man gave off a strong feeling that he was invincible, as if he himself was a weapon. "Lin Yu, are you trying to stop me?" The young man coldly stared at Lin Yu. Lin Yu laughed out loud and responded, "How could I dare to stop the young master devil? There are 3 doors here, let's each take one." "What? Is he qualified?" Yin Wuqing's eyes fell on Yi Qin. Lin Yu shook his head. "Don't underestimate him. He has already attained the sword intent. Just now, he and I exchanged a move, and it ended in a draw." "Ah, he's qualified then." Yin Wuqing was a bit surprised. People who had attained the sword intent were all powerful, and he had already seen it during the Hidden Dragon rank competition. Therefore, he would not underestimate him. "Let's mind our own business. Otherwise, I, Lin Yu, would never be afraid of anyone." While speaking, Lin Yu walked towards the middle door. The young master devil walked towards the right door. Yi Qin didn't care which door he chose, because before he opened it, no one would know what was inside. On the other side, Lin Yu slightly raised his voice. In front of the door, an invisible screen was blocking his way, preventing him from opening it. "Break!" Lin Yu threw out a punch, and a strong fist power condensed into a solid shape, striking on the invisible screen. Buzz! The screen didn't break, but ripples spread out. Lin Yu didn't believe it. He boosted up all of his Jin Qi and threw out 3 punches in a row. Bang, bang, bang. The invisible screen vibrated intensely, twisting and showing signs of breaking. After that, Lin Yu threw out the 4th punch and shattered the screen. On the other side, the young master devil sneered. He reached out his smooth, jade-like palm and clenched his fist. He didn't release even a little bit of Zhen Qi, but directly punched on the invisible screen. Pop! A large part of the invisible screen was dented. Before it bounced back, it was punched for the 2nd time, then the 3rd time. Before the 4th punch was launched, Yin Wuqing grabbed the dented part of the screen with both of his hands and tore it apart. Bang! The invisible screen was torn apart by Yin Wuqing. Even Yi Qin was shocked by his great strength, and silently thought that he couldn't compete with Yin Wuqing at all. When the two of them walked into the door, Yi Chen pulled out the hidden cloud sword and hit the same spot 3 times in a row. Puff! The invisible screen was punctured and disappeared. Carrying the iron spear on his back and holding the sword in his right hand, Yi Chen opened the door and walked in. There was nothing in the room except for a black coffin, which was placed in the middle of the room. Is this a tomb? Yi Chen had a bad feeling because the coffin gave him a weird feeling, as if there was something horrible in it. At this moment, a raging roar came from Lin Yu's room, followed by an earth-shaking sound of fighting, which even shook the entire room and hall. Creak! The thick lid of the coffin suddenly moved a little bit to the side, showing a crack. From the crack, 2 beams of green light darted out like ghosts. Chapter 145. Yi Qin frowned inwardly. These 2 beams of green light gave him an evil feeling, full of evil and cruelty. Plus, they also carried a numbing power that made his hands and feet feel weak. But he was a martial artist who had learned the sword intent after all, which made him invincible. He snorted and cut off the connection with the green light. Crack! The lid of the coffin suddenly flew up, and a human figure stood up from inside. Cut! Yi Chen reacted quickly and threw out a sword attack. Clang! Sparks splashed out, but this sharp sword attack failed to cut open the body of the man. Hello! The human figure let out a wolf howl as he bounced on his knees, jumping towards Yi Qin at lightning speed. His 2 arms pulled back and released, stabbing out like 2 sharp blades. The room was very dark and there was no light source. With his powerful soul power, Yi Chen could still see the face and body shape of the man. He was shocked when he saw the man's face. It was not a man at all, but a black-colored zombie. The zombie's shriveled body was scrunched up, shining with a metallic luster. Its green eyes had lost all human emotions, only cruelty, strangeness, bloodthirstiness, cruelty, and all the evil things in the world could be seen in those eyes. The zombie's movement was a bit stiff, but its explosive speed was quite fast. Yi Chen leaned to the side and moved 10 meters away. In the next moment, the hard wall was punctured and torn apart. The zombie tilted its head and locked its evil green eyes on Yi Chen. Of course, Yi Chen did not show any mercy. He waved the hidden cloud sword, and 2 sharp sword chi shot out, one from the left and one from the right, aiming at the zombie's eyes. Since he had comprehended the sword intent, his attacking speed and power had been greatly improved, and he was no weaker than an early clasping Yuan realm warrior. It was able to react in an extremely short period of time. Its shriveled head tilted back slightly, dodging the sword chi on the left. As for the other sword chi, it missed its eyes due to the target's movement and struck its cheek instead. A few sparks flew out, and the zombie's cheek was cut open. What kind of zombie is this? Even the sword chi couldn't hurt it. Yi Chen clearly saw that when the sword chi cut the zombie's cheek, there was a green light, which blocked most of the attack power. Roar! The zombie felt dizzy after being hit by the sword chi. Without thinking, it opened its horrifying, stinky mouth and spat out a ball of green light towards Yi Chen. The wall was instantly corroded, and the smell of the green gas was nauseating. Yi Chen was forced out of the room and returned to the luxurious hall. He turned his head sideways and found that both Lin Yu and Yin Wuqing were there, and their opponents were zombies as well. What bad luck to actually encounter a martial zombie here. Lin Yu's sleeves were torn, and his clothes were a bit messy. Just now, when he walked into the coffin, he didn't find anything, so he directly opened the coffin lid. Unexpectedly, a zombie suddenly jumped out from the coffin, and its 2 arms nearly pierced through his chest. If he hadn't activated a defensive skill before, he would have been dead by now. Martial zombies? Yi Chen was a bit confused. Yin Wuqing explained, under special circumstances, a martial artisan chi won't dissipate after he or she dies. Instead, it will mix with the corpse chi, and after a long time the corpses of these martial artists will become immortal. However, if a living human comes to this place at this time, the rich Jin Qi contained in these corpses will cause the corpses of these martial artists to change into martial zombies, and they will become bloodthirsty martial zombies. Martial zombies are extremely strong and are almost invulnerable. In terms of physical strength, martial zombies are even more powerful than demonic beasts at the same level. If I'm not wrong, these 3 martial zombies used to be early clasping Yuan realm martial artists, and after they become martial zombies, they will become 5th grade martial zombies. However, they haven't been able to control the corpse qi contained in their bodies yet. Lin Yu nodded and said, "It's said that the ghost artist, one of the 108 ghost warriors of the 9 evil cult, was a martial zombie. However, he was different from ordinary martial zombies. Because of some special reasons, he regained his intelligence and became even more cunning and insidious than human beings. What's more, as a martial zombie, he was able to turn living martial artists into martial zombies. According to him, those martial zombies were called elite corpses. From high to low, they were called iron plate corpses, bronze plate corpses, silver plate corpses, gold plate corpses, and so on. The ghost artist was a martial zombie? This was the first time for Yi Qin to hear about such a thing, but he had heard about bronze plate corpses when he was helping the Ling family to complete a mission in the Red Blood Forest. He and his family ran into some ghost guards under the ghost artist's command. One of the ghost guards had even threatened to turn Yi Qin into a bronze plate corpse. "Martial zombies are coming out. Be careful. Don't let them hurt you, or you'll be infected by the corpse poison." While speaking, Lin Yu's clothes fluttered in the air even though there was no wind. He abruptly launched a punch, and the fierce fist power transformed into a huge cauldron, pressing towards the martial zombie in the middle. Clang! The room-sized Gen Qi cauldron weighed over 1,000 kilograms, directly pressing the martial zombie into the ground. The martial zombie couldn't even crawl out for a short while, and could only let out shrill screams. Earth Devil's body-shattering cut. Yin Wuqing restrained his Gen Qi, formed a sawtooth-shaped, dark purple light ring on the edge of his palm. He moved as fast as a bolt of lightning, and fiercely hacked on the neck of the other martial zombie. This palm strike was way too sharp and powerful. It sent the martial zombie flying away, bumping against the wall. A wound was left on the neck, but no blood was spilled out. Illo! The last martial zombie bent its knees and sprung up, darting straight towards Yi Qin, who was holding the hidden cloud sword and standing motionlessly. "I've been waiting for you, startling cloud." Yi Qin raised the hidden cloud sword high with his right hand and injected waves of Gen Qi into the sword. The strong sword aura released from the sword made the surrounding airflow spin at a high speed. Cut! Yi Qin swung the sword out. An incomparably thick stream of sword qi, which looked like a gigantic pair of scissors, sliced the air open and accurately hit the martial zombie from its chest to its neck. Puff! Iron-like minced meat flew in the air, and a bone-deep slash appeared on the martial zombie's chest. Its solid body was instantly lifted up from the ground and heavily smashed against a stone pillar. The stone pillar collapsed, and the martial zombie's body was pressed under a huge rock. The Gen Qi cauldron shook violently. Lin Yu gave a bitter smile and said, "I can't. Although these few martial zombies can't control their corpse qi at will, their defensive power and strength are all at the same level as 5th rank martial zombies. It's impossible to kill them within a short period of time. I can only barely push them back." Yin Wuqing said coldly, "Martial zombies are incredibly powerful. A 7th rank martial zombie, raised by our barbarian devil martial school, once killed an early astral reaching realm martial artist." Everyone knew that the barbarian devil martial school had been raising martial zombies, and Yin Wuqing wasn't afraid of the consequences. Not to mention that the comprehensive power of the barbarian devil martial school was even greater than that of the evil blood martial school. As one of the top rank 7 martial institutions, ordinary rank 7 martial institutions couldn't be compared with them. Looking at the martial zombie that crawled out from the pile of rocks, Yi Chen felt helpless for the first time. He hesitated whether he should use the heart refining or not, but after thinking for a while, he decided not to. This was not a life or death moment. There was no need for him to expose his most powerful martial skill. Not to mention that he was sure that Lin Yu and Yin Wuqing also had their most powerful martial skills that they hadn't used yet. Besides, even if he used the heart refining, he might not be able to kill the martial zombie. It would at most injure it severely. If he used the heart refining for a few more times, it would consume too much of his spiritual power, which was not wise. Explode! On the other side, Lin Yu couldn't suppress the martial zombie any longer. He made a prompt decision and cast a secret magic to explode his Zhen Qi cauldron. The fierce airwaves generated by the explosion shook the entire hall. Fist-sized rocks fell down from the ceiling, and quite a few crystal lamps were extinguished. The martial zombie that had just crawled up from the ground couldn't help but be thrown into the air, landing beside the dead body of the martial artist. Crack! Crack! What happened next was shocking. The martial zombie tore off the arm of the dead martial artist, threw it into its mouth, and started chewing. Blood splashed everywhere, and sharp teeth grinding noises resounded through the entire hall. The other 2 martial zombies were also attracted by this. They grabbed a dead martial artist and started gnawing on it. Yin Wuqing's facial expression changed. Don't let them eat enough blood and meat. Once they have enough power, they will become real 5th-grade martial zombies, and they will be able to release their corpse chi to attack their enemies, just like normal martial artists. Kill! While speaking, Yin Wuqing had already rushed over. Bean-sized, faintly discernible black scales emerged on his white skin, which looked even more terrifying than martial zombies. He looked just like a human-shaped killing machine. Bang! The martial zombie that was closest to Yin Wuqing was sent flying away once it touched Yin Wuqing's body. It was punched and kicked 4 times in the air, making it howl in pain. Dual cauldron competition. Lin Yu understood the severity of the situation. A cyan-yellow stream of Zhen Qi burst out from his body and rose into the air. He then clenched his fists and quickly closed them. Boom! The 2 room-sized cauldrons encircled the martial zombie, which had been happily eating, and fiercely clashed against each other. Waves of shockwaves spread out in all directions, tearing all surrounding corpses into pieces. Perhaps it had eaten quite a lot of corpses. A green stream of Zhen Qi burst out from this martial zombie's body, shielding it in the middle. Nevertheless, the 2 cauldrons clashed against each other, adding up and shaking each other, crazily damaging the martial zombie's body. In this case, I have no choice but to slowly wear down the martial zombie's defense. Although he couldn't use the heart refining, Yi Chen still had another sword move. This sword move might not be as powerful as the Shocking Cloud sword art, but after a long period of research, he had found a new use for it. Therefore, he might as well try it on the martial zombie first. Thinking of this, the sharp aura released from Yi Chen's body grew stronger and stronger, along with a faint sense of mountain power. Taking a step forward, Yi Chen launched a seemingly slow but actually fast sword move. Mountain condensed sword chi. Boom! Not only did the sword chi that was as thick as a mountain send the martial zombie flying, it even pinned it against the wall, unable to move. What was even more frightening was that the sword chi did not dissipate. Instead, it continued to grind against the martial zombie's chest, again and again, endlessly. What kind of sword move is this? Seeing the sword chi continuously wearing down the martial zombie's defense, Lin Yu couldn't help but gasp in shock. Yin Wuqing also glanced at Yi Chen in surprise. Before, he had only acknowledged Yi Chen's power and didn't want to become enemies with him. But now, he truly didn't want to be enemies with Yi Chen anymore. He thought that Yi Chen had already exhausted all of his abilities, but unexpectedly, Yi Chen also had more powerful skills than them, and who knew whether he had more powerful skills or not. This man can't be underestimated. That was Ian Wuching's thought. The martial zombie struggled intensely. However, the mountain-heavy sword Qi had disabled it from moving, and it could only let itself be slaughtered by Yi Qin. Chapter 146. Yi Qin, who had been maintaining the posture of wielding the sword, couldn't stand it any longer. This stream of sword Qi was connected with his own Jin Qi, and every second he would consume a great amount of Jin Qi. Of course, if he and that martial zombie were the only ones here, he would be able to kill that martial zombie at one go. But sadly, he was not. He couldn't guarantee that no accidents would happen when he ran out of Jin Qi. Yi Chen took back the hidden cloud sword, and the mountain-like stream of sword Qi finally disappeared. The martial zombie, which had been squeezed into the wall, was in an extremely miserable state. Its body was nearly cut into two by the sword Qi, and its pitch-black internal organs and spine were clearly visible. "Hello!" The martial zombie let out a shrill roar, and streams of green airflow burst out from its pitch-black bones and muscles, trying its best to close and reconnect its broken chest. "How can I let you get what you want?" Yi Qin took out the iron spear from his back, then stomped his foot against the ground and darted out, transforming into a blood-red stream of light. Boom! The spear directly nailed on the broken chest of the martial zombie, and a raging flame instantly wrapped the martial zombie up, turning it into a human-shaped torch. Crackle! The flame seemed to have a restraining effect on the body of the martial zombie. As Yi Chen continued injecting his Jin Qi into the spear, the flame on the spear grew stronger and stronger, and the temperature grew higher and higher. Even the martial zombie's bones and muscles began to soften, like a candle, with sticky liquid dripping down from it. Yi Chen's eyes shone. Just now, he had been thinking that the flame might be able to restrain the martial zombie, but he didn't expect it to be so effective. It was even more effective than a full-strength sword attack of his. However, ordinary Jin Qi flames shouldn't be this powerful, most likely because the iron spear was a low-grade, great treasure, and the flame power contained in it was even more powerful. Thinking of this, Yi Chen didn't have any other thoughts. He gripped the iron spear with both of his hands and pinned the martial zombie against the wall. Aolo, aolo, aolo. The martial zombie had already suffered a severe injury, and at the moment its body was burning with a raging flame. Instantly it howled like a wolf, and the sound waves spread out in all directions. Damn, martial zombies are afraid of fire, so that's why. Lin Yu pondered for a while, then took out a handful of orange-yellow explosive pills from his pocket. Explosive pills weren't very powerful. Even if the explosion range was very close, it could only injure an early clasping Yuan realm martial artist and couldn't kill him instantly, compared to the silver light thunderbolt bomb and the red light fireball bomb. However, compared to the latter, explosive pills were the most commonly used weapons nowadays. The reason was simple: explosive pills could be produced in small quantities, while the manufacturing methods of the silver light thunderbolt bomb and the red light fireball bomb had long been lost in history. The Sky Cloud Martial School had almost used up all the silver light thunderbolt bomb that Luo Han's Han had brought back last time, and they would never have another one in the future. Neither would they be able to produce another one, unless they could find an ancient ruin and find a silver light thunderbolt bomb. But of course, explosive pills weren't easy to find. Among the 9 nations, only a few institutions had the manufacturing methods of explosive pills, and the Dragon Tiger Martial School, where Lin Yu was from, was one of them. If the other institutions wanted explosive pills, they would have to buy them at a high price. As for robbing the manufacturing methods of explosive pills, they would rarely happen. After all, the Dragon Tiger Martial School was a mid-grade rank 7 institution. Even if a top-grade rank 7 institution wanted to rob them, they would have to prepare to die together with them. Otherwise, the other institutions would take advantage of the situation. However, a rank 6 institution wouldn't destroy a rank 7 institution just for the manufacturing methods of explosive pills. Perhaps they had even more powerful weapons. After all, The power of a rank 6 institution was beyond anyone's imagination. While the zombie was howling, Lin Yu reacted quickly and threw a handful of explosive pills towards it. The howling stopped abruptly, except for a few explosive pills. Most of the explosive pills were swallowed by the zombie. Bang, 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 bang. Almost instantaneously, a series of explosive sounds came from inside and outside the zombie's body. In the next moment, wisps of fiery light darted out from the zombie's eyes, nose, mouth, along with puffs of smoke. Yin Wuqing paused for a second. He didn't have any fire attribute, low-grade, treasured weapon. Neither did he have any explosive pills. It seemed that he could only rely on his physical strength to solve this problem. Without thinking too much, Yin Wuqing took out a pair of gloves made of black silk from his clothes, which were shining with a cold light. He put them on and activated his Zhen Qi. Immediately, a curved, dark purple Zhen Qi blade emerged from the glove, sticking closely to the edge of his palm. This pair of gloves were low-grade, treasured weapons given to him by their leader, the gold-splitting gloves. He rarely used them before because he believed that his physical strength was more than enough. Earth Devil's body-shattering cut. Yin Wuqing moved as fast as a bolt of lightning and launched a hack on the zombie's neck. The cut on the zombie's neck had already healed a lot, leaving only a shallow cut on the zombie's neck. But now, the zombie's neck was sliced open by Lin Yu and Yin Wuqing. Lin Yu and Yin Wuqing's moves were seen by Yi Qin. He gave a faint smile and injected his Zhen Qi into the iron spear, firmly suppressing the zombie. No matter how hard the zombie roared, it couldn't move even a little bit. A small half of its iron-hard bones and muscles had already melted, and the zombie had lost its human shape. Explode! The situation was already set. Yi Chen swallowed a Zhen Qi replenishing pill, then flicked his wrist. Following his move, a raging flame burst out from the zombie's body. Clatter! The zombie's badly mutilated body fell on the ground and turned into a pile of melted meat. You too, I'll be going now. Yi Chen didn't have a close relationship with these two. Neither did he plan to explore the tomb together. Once he killed the zombie with a single spear attack, he immediately wanted to separate from them. Haha, this tomb is vast. It's better for us to separate. Lin Yu was about to kill the zombie for good. Hearing Yin Wuqing, he laughed out loud and didn't seem to care. Yin Wuqing didn't say anything. In fact, if he killed the zombie first, he would definitely make the same choice as Yi Chen. This tomb was vast, and there were many treasures in it. All right, see you later. Flashing across the air, Yi Chen darted into one of the tunnels and disappeared. Lin Yu took back his sight and said to Yin Wuqing, "This year's Hidden Dragon ranking competition will probably have many changes. Yin Wuqing, your cultivation is a bit low. You'd better figure out a way to keep your position. The Heavenly Dream Ancient Region is one of the 4 great inherited ancient places in the South Shore region. The other 3 places are controlled by institutions from other countries. Once they are open one by one, many people will break into the Clasping Yuan realm." Yin Wuqing said blandly, "You're right, the Hidden Dragon ranking has its ups and downs, but this year is the most prosperous one. All kinds of powerful martial geniuses have gathered here, and without great abilities, no one can beat all of their peers." The tunnels in the tomb were connected to all directions. On the way, Yi Chen saw many dead bodies of disciples from different institutions. Some of them had killed each other, some had their brains eaten by some unknown creatures, and some had been slapped on the walls and turned into a pile of bloody meat. The air was filled with a strong smell of blood. The Heavenly Dream Ancient Region opens once every 10 years, and every time it opens, it's not only an opportunity, but also a fatal disaster. Before, at least half of the people could come out alive, but this time it's already not bad if only half of them can come out alive. No wonder people say that powerful martial artists walk on mountains of corpses and oceans of blood, and they've killed countless people. Yi Chen sighed slightly. In this world that was filled with powerful martial artists, only by growing stronger step by step could one protect himself? Those ordinary people seemed to live a peaceful life and stood aloof from worldly affairs. But when faced with natural disasters, how could they have the power to protect themselves? But of course, even without these reasons, Yi Chen wouldn't want to live an ordinary life. The world of martial artists was just the tip of the iceberg, and he hadn't seen anything interesting yet. In his eyes, if he couldn't live a vigorous life, it would be such a pity. Besides, there was a famous saying in the world where he came from, "Live as a hero and die as a hero." No matter where he was, he had to live an exciting life. Unknowingly, Yi Chen arrived in front of a huge tunnel. At the end of the tunnel, there was a stone gate, and on both sides of the gate stood two ferocious-looking stone beasts. The stone beasts' heads were flat, and there were two burning candles on their heads, releasing a faint fiery light. Taking a deep breath, Yi Chen pulled out the hidden cloud sword and walked towards the gate step by step. Swoosh! Suddenly, a small black shadow darted out from a small hole on the side. It flashed a cold light and attacked towards Yi Chen's face. Die! Yi Chen had a sharp sense of danger. He pierced the black shadow's head with his sword. Puff! The black shadow fell on the ground, let out a shrill scream, and ran away. There are so many weird things in this tomb. Yi Chen had already seen the black shadow's appearance clearly. It was a monkey-like, skinny, hairless monster. Yi Chen's sword strike had only left a deep sword mark on the monster's face. It didn't kill it completely. After that, another 7 or 8 monkey-like monsters attacked Yi Chen, but all of them were wounded and ran away. However, the strange screams they made before they ran away made the tunnel even weirder. When he was only 30 steps away from the gate, Yi Chen stopped and swung his sword sideways. The sword Qi, which was strong enough to make a candle flame lose its color, hit on the relief on the wall. Crack! The relief was shattered, and an even bigger, monkey-like monster darted out. There was a deep sword mark on its chest. Demonic beast? Zombie? If Yi Chen had guessed it right, both the monkey-like monsters from before and the one in front of him were zombies that had been sealed on the wall. Once they smelled the blood of a living person, they would break out of the wall and start eating human flesh. This monkey-like monster had a huge body. It was more than 3 meters tall. There was no hair on its body, and its skinny skin was as hard as iron. It was very hard for Sword Qi to kill it. Letting out a horrifying scream, the monkey-like monster attacked towards Yi Chen with its claw. Puff! It was fast, but Yi Chen was even faster. The iron spear on his back jumped out and was grabbed by Yi Chen, who then stabbed it into the monkey-like monster's open mouth. Explode! 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 The explosion was heard, and the monkey-like monster was pushed back. The skin on its face was melted by the red flame, and it could not fight back at all. Yi Chen put more power into his arm and pushed the monkey-like monster back into the wall with the iron spear, burning it alive. Seeing that the monkey-like monster was dead, Yi Chen pulled out his iron spear and walked to the stone door. There was a handle mechanism next to the stone door. Yi Chen grabbed the handle and pushed it down. Rumble! The stone door opened, and there was a secret room inside. There was a bookshelf on one side of the secret room, and there were a few secret manuals on the bookshelf. Yi Chen walked straight to the bookshelf and picked up one of the manuals. Burning Sun Heart Ripping Claw, Low Rank Earth Realm Claw Art, has the power to melt gold and iron. He picked up another one. Black Een Finger, Low Rank Earth Realm Finger Art. With one finger, the enemy's blood will freeze and their meridians will be damaged.